Ghost-faced demon venerates abyss is under open invasion, a quasi-great chiliocosm ripe for plunder. As Jiang Ming checks his status and Linglong tests her immortal spear, the rules of engagement are about to change. Subscribe to witness the plunder. A few moments later, the stars began to move and seal the Northern Emperor's territory. They began a thorough investigation, arresting and killing those who were found guilty. The Infinite Realms battlefield. After listening to what Jiang Ming said, Ghost-faced demon venerate's pupils constricted despite his expression remaining the same. Seizing his chance, Jiang Ming hastily checked his status. Name: Ghost-faced demon venerate. Race: evil demon. Gender: male. Cultivation base: quasi-sage. Background: the fourth demon venerate of the abyss in the Honggu heavenly realm. Relationship: -91. Innate talent: quasi-sage. Status: the abyss was a place pervaded with evil energy and was the birthplace of countless demon races. There was a race known as the evil demons. They had a gruesome and hideous appearance. They were incapable of kindness. They were cruel, and they thirsted for blood. In the evil demon abyss there were countless blood fury abysses, which would breed the most primitive form of the evil demon. For each gestation, as soon as they grew larger, they would begin to kill and devour each other. Eventually, there would only be one evil demon in each abyss, and that evil demon would be the most powerful, the most brutal, the most cunning, and the most terrifying. The evil demons only had male in their race. They could be born naturally, but they needed to steal females from other races, and then once the ghost babies were born, they would eat the mother. After consuming thousands of his brethren, Ghost-faced entered the ancestral land of the evil demon race to cultivate. When he stepped into the devilish soldier realm that was equivalent to that of the heavenly immortal realm, he was released to the world outside to sharpen his skills. He grew up easily by killing and devouring other people. He could enter the golden immortal realm, but he needed some opportunities if he wanted to go further into his cultivation. He had gone through a lot of death or life situations. When he became a demon lord, he was surrounded and forced to enter a dangerous place. After he fell into a time rift, he came across a strand of the essence of the abyss by chance. He swallowed it, and his combat prowess increased by leaps and bounds. He killed countless of evil demons, and eventually, he became a demon venerate. Afterward, he slain an expert from the foe sect in the Infinite Realms battlefield. He was hunted by the foe sect, so he had no other choice but to run back into the abyss. 10 billion years later, he once again showed himself in the advanced Infinite Realms battlefield. He gravely wounded a monk in the middle stage of the quasi-sage to tell the world that he had reached the middle stage of the demon venerate realm. However, before he could kill the monk, Buddha arrived and injured him. He ran away and hid in the abyss. He had opened up a Tao square, accepting disciples while keeping a low profile. In the meantime, he was invited by the Great Demon Venerate. The Great Demon Venerate invited him to join his crusade against the Heavenly Court. The abyss had been suppressed by the Heavenly Court, and the demons that dwelled in the abyss had long wanted to overthrow the Heavenly Court. In the past, the Saint Lord had absolute authority over the universe, but the abyss had only one lord of itself. They were repressed by the Heavenly Emperor, so they worked with the foe sect to split themselves from the Heavenly Realm so that they wouldn't be restricted by the Heavenly Realm anymore. However, just when they were on the verge of overthrowing the Heavenly Court, the foe sect turned their coat and joined forces with the Great Heavenly Venerate to kill the Great Demon Venerate. If it were not for the remaining several demon venerates joining forces to threaten the Heavenly Court by stating they would bury the Heavenly Court together with the abyss, the abyssal demons would have ceased to exist. That war was known as the Abyssal Blood Tribulation. Afterward, a new Great Demon Venerate came to power to manage the abyss. The world was still in a chaotic state. The Great Heavenly Venerate allowed the existence of the abyss, but at the same time it also had become the trial ground of the disciples from different sects. They were allowed to enter the perimeter of the abyss once every million years to carry out their trials. For every 100 million years, a great trial will be carried out. They could go whenever they wanted in the abyss except for the core. The Great Demon Venerate was not happy about it, and it had been planning to overthrow the Heavenly Court. In his opinion, they were demons. If they couldn't be the master of their own destiny, they should have just perished. After he joined him, he began to show up in many places such as the Infinite Realms battlefield to enslave some key figures. At the same time, they also maintained a good relationship with the experts from different heavenly realms so that they could get more information about the Heavenly Court. Kunpeng was one of their allies, and he was heartbroken when he learned that he was dead. He came to the Infinite Realms battlefield once again to look for the ancient dragon. He wanted to know what the dragon race thought about the heavenly realm. Then, he detected a terrifying power coming from the battlefield below, so came to take a look. He did not expect that he would come across something like this. A human man had killed a quasi-sage. It was an impossible feat considering his cultivation level, so he was certain that this man must have some secret on him. He was also shocked to find out that Hong Luo had been meeting the wife of the Great Demon Venerate, but he wondered where Jiang Ming learned it from. Could it be that the Great Demon Venerate was aware of the relationship between Hong Luo and his wife the entire time? The reason he did not expose them was that he had something else more important stuff to take care of. Even though they were demons, they couldn't stand this kind of thing as well. If he couldn't even handle his own wife, then how was he going to overthrow the heavenly court? He hoped that the great demon Venerate did not know about it. He decided to test the great demon Venerate after he came out of his seclusion. As for Jiang Ming, he wanted to kill him right now for slinging mud at the great demon Venerate and the Abyss. At the same time, he wanted to show the world that this was what they would end up for discrediting the Abyss. That being said, he did not let his guard down, for he did not know what kind of tricks Jiang Ming was capable of. Jiang Ming was dumbfounded after he had read through Ghostface's status. He did not expect that he would get so much useful information such as the Abyss was planning to rebel against the heavenly court from him. It was something he made up, but it turned out to be right. Damn it, he cussed inwardly. It was also because of this that the entire Abyss wanted to kill him. How dare you? Ghostface Demon Venerated snarled. How dare you sling mud at the great demon Venerate and the Abyss? Jiang Ming, if I don't kill you today, everyone will laugh at all of us from the Abyss. Now accept your death. After that, he swung the death scythe in his hand at Jiang Ming. That's fast. Jiang Ming's pupils constricted and he tried to parry the attack with his halberd, but to no avail. The collision had sent him flying far into the air, and even his bones were cracking. Ghostface Demon Venerate leaped into the air and appeared before him. He swung his scythe in a mighty downward swipe, and Jiang Ming could see nothing but a streak of darkness that flitted before his vision. Worldly repression. Jiang Ming hastily activated the worldly projection. However, it only stopped Ghostface for a while before he started moving again. The 9-level golden pagoda was floating above his head, sprinkling golden light on him. He held the mystical arcane halberd in front of his chest, trying to defend himself, but it was a futile attempt. Once again, he was sent flying into the distance. The world Tao? Incredible. However, since you've killed a demon Venerate from the Abyss, you have to die today. As Ghostface Demon Venerate said, he delivered another attack at Jiang Ming. Jiang Ming frowned. Ghostface Demon Venerate was too strong. He was totally out of his league. Jiang Ming glanced at Mountain Master Tian Yuan in the distance. He was still fighting Thousand-Handed Demon Venerate, and it seemed to Jiang Ming that it would take some time before their fight would end. While his brain was spinning fast, an eye appeared in front of him. It was the Eye of Doom he had gotten from the Lord God's beneficiary. It emitted a destructive light and barely stopped the attack. Die. Jiang Ming activated the power of his primal spirit as he shouted. In the meantime, he also delivered a message into Mountain Master Tian Yuan's heart. The old man looked toward Jiang Ming. He frowned and nodded slightly. Die? Me? Ghostface Demon Venerate gave out a cold sneer. He swung his scythe again, and 30 clones appeared around him. All of them were holding a scythe in their hands, and they were all swinging their scythes at him. Each scythe was carried with a terrifying power. Jiang Ming's worldly projection shrunk violently before spreading out rapidly, forming a shield around him at the same time. Meanwhile, he threw a sword at his back and detonated it instantly. Bam! The explosion caused by the great overarching Tao vessel set off a torrent of destructive waves that struck the target directly behind it. However, Jiang Ming was struck by the scythes of the remaining 29 clones. They broke through the defense of the 9-level golden pagoda, leaving one after another deep cuts on his body. Then, those clones disappeared. You're using the Incarnation Tao too? Jiang Ming gritted his teeth. He locked onto Ghostface Demon Venerate's true form through the human path's record. However, those clones were powerful, but the good thing was that there was a limit to it. Had it not been for his defensive special item as well as his strong physique, he would have been dead by now. Ghostface Demon Venerate was sent flying all the way into the distance. He was in a mess, and his battle armor was in a tattered state. Die! Jiang Ming looked into the distance and activated his worldly projection, the mystical arcane halberd, and the Eye of Doom. Great move, kid, but it's going to take more than that to take me down. Ghostface Demon Venerate shouted and countered all of Jiang Ming's attacks, causing the latter's face to turn pale. Meanwhile, Mountain Master Tian Yuan was struck by Thousand-Handed Demon Venerate, but he had broken through the latter's defense as well. Under the help of the worldly projection, 10 clones appeared and they restrained Thousand-Handed Demon Venerate with time-space confinement technique. Thousand-Handed Demon Venerate was dumbfounded and his face turned pale in fear. Die. Seizing his chance, Mountain Master Tian Yuan pierced through his opponent's forehead without any hesitation. It was difficult to find out the winner and the loser between the battle of quasi-sages. Even if one could defeat the other, killing him or her was near impossible. After all, both had many special abilities or special items with them, and it was near impossible to kill one another. However, none of them had expected that Jiang Ming would work with Mountain Master Tian Yuan and take down one Demon Venerate. After Mountain Master Tian Yuan had struck down Thousand-Handed Demon Venerate, he collected all his stuff and headed toward Jiang Ming's direction. Demon! Ghost-faced Demon Venerate shouted angrily. He did not believe that Jiang Ming still had the capability to assist Mountain Master Tian Yuan to kill his comrade while fighting him. It was considered a humiliation for him that his comrade died before his eyes. All of you are going to die here. Ghost-faced demon Venerate's face twisted grotesquely as demonic fog began to appear behind him, which swiftly turned into a world of darkness. They could hear the howling as well as see the silhouettes of ghosts weaving here and there. All of them were wailing and roaring in pain, but they couldn't get out of there. Die. Enveloping his scythe with the power of curse, he swung his scythe in a mighty downward swipe at Jiang Ming. Watch out. That's his evil demon curse. It can destroy your mind and willpower. Mountain Master Tian Yuan shouted as he arrived beside Jiang Ming. He brandished his sword and countless lightning showered down from the sky above, turning the area around them into a sea of thunder and lightning. It should have been able to fight back against Ghost-faced Demon Venerate's attack, but nobody knew what happened. His attack was overwhelmed by Ghost-faced Demon Venerate's. Bam! Mountain Master Tian Yuan flew backward with blood lining on the corner of his lips. His facial features contorted out of shape. He opened his mouth suddenly and black blood and mist gushed out. That was the power of curse. The power of curse is truly powerful. As expected of the Ghost-faced, he glanced at Jiang Ming and he was stunned. Even though Jiang Ming was hit by Ghost-faced's attack, he remained unaffected. How could that be? Both Mountain Master Tian Yuan and Ghost-faced Demon Venerate were confused. Why are you not affected by the power of curse? Ghost-faced Demon Venerate asked. This is the evil demon curse I developed after consuming millions of souls. It's also one of my strongest special abilities. It can affect someone who's on the same level as me, and even if you have the inner world, you can't escape from this attack, so why doesn't it work on you? Ever since ancient times, evil will never prevail over good. I represent the justice side, so that evil trick of yours will never work on me. Today I must take you down so that the people who died in your hands could rest in peace. Jiang Ming harumphed coldly, however he sighed inwardly. Fortunately, he called the human path's record back into his sea of consciousness in time to guard against the attack. If not, other than the blessing from the Supreme Order, there was no way he could defend himself against that attack. Even though the attack did not touch him, he felt his entire being was shaking just by standing near to it. What is evil, and what is good? Ghost-faced Demon Venerate shouted furiously, will by killing you make me good? If that's the case, then I'll have to kill you today. Now prepare to die, he shouted and threw another attack at Jiang Ming. The black fog rolled over, trying to envelop Jiang Ming in its darkness world. Jiang Ming took out a Tao vessel. It was the Moon Essence Wheel, and he detonated it again. Jiang Ming's face turned as pale as a sheet, and he had gotten a lot weaker. Let's run, he shouted and darted straight toward the Tianyuan realm. Mountain Master Tianyuan followed after him without any hesitation. After all, he did not have the confidence that he could come out safely from the explosion of a great overarching Tao vessel. Boom! A torrent of destructive waves swept across the area. The Tianyuan sea below them had long become an abyss. They could also vaguely see the chains in the depths of video that kept the battlefield from falling apart. Another explosion? Ghost-faced Demon Venerate said as he emerged from the explosion. There were wounds here and there on his body, but all of them were not life-threatening. His face was twisted with rage, and his eyes were spewing fire. Run? Where do you think you can run to? He sneered coldly. Demon Venerate, wait! Blood Emperor came and shouted. Why? Ghost-faced Demon Venerate turned his head around and his expression was cold, sending a chill down Blood Emperor's spine. He was confident that if he couldn't give him a reasonable explanation, he would kill him instantly. After all, this Venerate was not a good guy at all. He chided himself inwardly for being a busy bee, but he put on a smile and hastily explained, Demon Venerate, I saw with my own eyes that after entering it, Kunpeng came out in a mess and even suffered a serious injury. Kunpeng? Ghost-faced Demon Venerate frowned and then he sneered. He's an arrogant man, so I can see why he would fall into his trap. But I'm different. I already know all of Jiang Ming's moves and I'm prepared for them. There's nothing he could use to harm me. After he had finished speaking, he continued to move forward. Honestly, he was hesitant as well. However, if he did not do something about everything that happened today, he would lose all his prestige and those in the abyss would laugh at him. Blood Emperor opened his mouth, but he did not say anything anymore. He looked toward the Tianyuan realm. In the meantime, Jiang Ming had already entered the Tianyuan realm. He turned his head around, and Blood Emperor did not know why, but his blood suddenly ran cold. He hastily took a few steps back. This man is too scary. He looks more like a demon than a demon. If he can survive through this fight, I must get as far away as possible from him, Blood Emperor said. Meanwhile, Jiang Ming and Mountain Master Tian Yuan had entered the Tianyuan realm. Jiang Ming let out a sigh of relief. He looked toward the outside. Initially, he thought Ghost-faced Demon Venerate would come in, but he stopped outside. He lifted his scythe and struck down again. Damn it! How can he be so cautious? Jiang Ming cursed. I can hold him back for some time. You should get yourself packed and then we'll run, Mountain Master Tian Yuan said as he floated into the air. Don't worry, senior. Now that we've come back here, there's nothing you should worry about. I can fight. toe-to-toe with the great demon Venerate right now, let alone Ghostface Demon Venerate. After he had finished speaking, he came in front of Mountain Master Tian Yuan and threw his mystical arcane halberd into the hair. This, Mountain Master Tian Yuan was stunned. I didn't expect that you still have something like this up your sleeves. How long can it hold? Senior, it can hold as long as I'm here. Really? Yes. Alright then, I'll trust you this time, Mountain Master Tian Yuan said. He looked around and upon realizing that no one here was affected by Ghostface Demon Venerate's attack, he was relieved. It's fate that brought us together. You don't need to call me senior anymore, just call me brother. Alright brother, Jiang Ming nodded. Their relationship had reached 90 points, which was only attainable if he was someone very close to him. Jiang Ming did not know why since this was the first time they met each other. That's more like it. Mountain Master Tian Yuan nodded. Then, he pointed toward the outside. What if he comes in? I can fight him. Besides, I'm sure we can kill him this time if we work together. Both of them discussed for a while and turned toward Ghostface Demon Venerate, who was still attacking them from the outside tirelessly. On the outside, Ghostface Demon Venerate stopped his attack. Is it a formation? Or is it a Dao square he got after Saint Lord left? I can't see through it no matter how much I try. Should I go in? The fact that Kumpeng could come out after he went in means that it's not strong on the inside. Since I'm prepared, I'm sure I won't end up like Kumpeng. He thought for a short while before making up his mind. I think I should go in. Even if I couldn't kill him this time, I can figure out what is going on inside and I can prepare myself better when I come to take his life next time. Besides, that old thing is coming, so there's nothing I should worry about. Ghostface Demon Venerate made up his mind and went into the Tianyuan realm. The Infinite Realms battlefield was large. Even though it was just the intermediate Infinite Realms battlefield, it still spanned millions of miles away. However, there were plenty of experts gathered up here to witness this great battle. Most of them began to know that the young man who fought against the Demon Venerate was none other than Jiang Ming, a living being born in a planar world. After his world was destroyed by the demon, it was pulled toward the Infinite Realms battlefield. Afterward, Yang Ming began to show his might by killing several immortal lords, immortal kings, and demon venerates. He even killed Kunpeng, the Northern Emperor, and 2 demon venerates. All of these people were extraordinarily powerful, but 3 of them had fallen today. Everyone was shocked, and all of them wondered how someone from a planar world could be so strong. If he was really this powerful, then why would he allow his world to get destroyed? There was a rumor saying that he had inherited the remnants of the primeval heavenly court. He had been cultivating in it, so he couldn't come out in time to save his world from destruction. Some of them also said that he had gotten the legacy of the ancient Saint Lord as well as the Holy Venerates Dao Square. But no matter what, Jiang Ming held the secret that could allow people to achieve greatness overnight. If not, why would Beiming Hai and the Northern Emperor come for him? Why would the demon venerate show up here and kill so many people? These rumors were spreading fast, and very soon everyone in the Tianyun realm had learned about them. Tianyun realm. Jiang Ming's eyebrows twitched looking at Ghost-faced demon venerate. He did not expect that he really had the guts to come straight at him despite knowing the danger of his action. He squinted his eyes, channeling the power of the Holy Venerates Dao Square to form a shield around the land. After all, he did not have the confidence that he could keep everyone safe when the battle broke out later. Are you ready, brother? Yang Ming asked. Rest assured, I'm more than willing to sacrifice my own life if I can take this old bastard down today. Mountain Master Tianyuan laughed. It isn't that easy to die here. Here goes, Jiang Ming said and grabbed something in the air. The power from the Holy Venerate Dao Square surged forward and enveloped Ghost-faced Demon Venerate, who was trying to break in. What? Ghost-faced Demon Venerate was stunned and his face turned pale. He had already mentally prepared for it. Before he came in here, he clad himself in his black fog. Those evil spirits and the power of curse seemed to have their own shapes as they slammed around him. This was a demon domain, and there were even 2 demonic vessels inside of it. One of them was a black flag while another was a mirror. Both of them were quasi-sage weapons. However, at this moment he felt his movements were greatly restricted as the immense power poured onto him. Ghost-faced Demon Venerate lifted his head to see that Jiang Ming was rushing toward him. There were 4 great overarching immortal weapons in front of him. All of them were emitting a brilliant light, and they were coming straight at him at full speed. Dim it! Ghost-faced Demon Venerate shouted. Evil demon curse, heed my call. Transform into a great being and crush my foe. Upon his command, the black fog suddenly shrunk and turned into a giant of several thousands meters tall. There were human figures covering from the giant's head to its toe. All of the human figures were wailing, screaming, and it was a horrifying sight. Immediately afterwards, this giant exploded, turning into a monstrous torrent of power to fight against the suppressive force from all directions and simultaneously clash with the 4 great overarching immortal weapons. Bam! In an instant, the light of destruction annihilated everything. Laws, rules, everything that was tangible or intangible were all destroyed. Even if Jiang Ming tried his best to divert the destructive force upward, it still formed into a terrifying storm that swept over the land below him. I shouldn't have used such a powerful move here, Jiang Ming said. He moved the people in that region away to save them from being caught in the storm. In the meantime, he grabbed something in front of them, once again channeling the power of the Holy Venerate Dao Square to bind Ghostface Demon Generate, who was trying to run away, in place. What kind of power is this? Ghostface Demon Venerate shouted, his face pale. It took my evil demon curse and the evil spirits that I've collected for more than 1,000,000,000 years to break myself free from the restraint now, and now, Demon God Body Blood Explosion Attack. Black Demon Flag Heaven Ghost Mirror, hurry up and protect me. He shouted as he got engulfed by Jiang Ming's attack and pushed out of the Tianyuan realm. There was a group of experts watching the battle from the outside. They saw that Ghostface Demon Venerate rushed into the Tianyuan realm, and then the situation suddenly changed. Although they couldn't see clearly what was happening, they could clearly feel a terrifying power from inside. In the next second, they saw Ghostface Demon Venerate getting hurled out of the Tianyuan realm, followed by Jiang Ming and Mountain Master Tianyuan. Both of them flew into the sky, charging toward Ghostface Demon Venerate. All of them looked at each other in shock. They couldn't understand the thing that had just transpired before their eyes. Even if Jiang Ming was able to command his great overarching Dao vessels to explode themselves, Ghostface Demon Venerate should be able to dodge or parry the attack easily. How would he be defeated so soon? That was one hell of a move, brother. Mountain Master Tianyuan exclaimed. I'm sure even Ghostface Demon Venerate wouldn't be able to come out unscathed from the attack. We should kill him right now when he's in his most weakened state. After all, if we're going to have a war with the Abyss, the less enemy we have, the better it is. Of course, we've got to kill him here right now, Jiang Ming replied decisively. Die. Jiang Ming locked onto Ghostface Demon Venerate and swung his mystical arcane halberd at him. This is the end, Ghostface. Mountain Master Tianyuan shouted as he cast his ultimate attack at Ghostface Demon Venerate. Just when their attacks were going to reach their target, a pagoda appeared out of nowhere and blocked both of their attacks. This is the Dark Heaven Demon Pagoda. Mountain Master Tianyuan was stunned, his expression turning serious. He extended his arm to stop Jiang Ming from rushing forward and said, Evil-hearted Demon Venerate, I didn't expect that you're here as well. If I didn't come, you guys would have killed Ghostface Demon Venerate already. An old man appeared at the top of the pagoda. He glanced at Jiang Ming and Mountain Master Tianyuan before grabbing Ghostface Demon Venerate with his hand. He observed Ghostface Demon Venerate meticulously as the corner of his lips quivered uncontrollably. Ghostface Demon Venerate was in a mess. Half of his head, his arms, his legs, his heart were all gone, and there were nothing but only a few rib bones in his chest. The black demon flag was gone as well. Even though there was a crack on the Heaven Ghost mirror, it was still doing its best to protect its master. Even though the demons could regain their body over time, judging from Ghostface Demon Venerate's condition, it was going to take a long time. Kill them, evil-hearted Demon Venerate, Ghostface Demon Venerate shouted. They are at the end of their tether. Now is our best chance. I might be able to kill them if I come here earlier, but it's too late now. Evil-hearted Demon Venerate shook his head. Do you have anything to say? Ghostface Demon Venerate gritted his teeth. He hemmed and hawed for a long while, but no words could come out of his mouth. If you have nothing else to say, then we should take our leave now, Evil-hearted Demon Venerate said. After that, he glanced into the distance, grabbed Ghostface, and went away through a portal. We're going to let them run away just like that? Jiang Ming hissed. He had checked through Evil-hearted Demon Venerate, so he knew that he couldn't end Ghostface Demon Venerate's life today. Evil-hearted Demon Venerator was the third Demon Venerate of the Abyss, and he was far stronger than Ghostface. Right now, both him and Mountain Master Tianyuan were not in their best condition. Not only that, but there was a strong presence in the distance, and he still did not know if he was their friend or foe. Therefore, he decided not to do anything rashly despite being disappointed. We would be in big trouble if they don't retreat now, Mountain Master Tianyuan said. I can sense the presence of a great monarch from the foe sect as well as other experts. I guess it's them who scared Evil-hearted away. Let's go back then. Okay, just when they turned around, a golden light descended from the sky and illuminated the entire Infinite Realms battlefield. In the next second, an immense pressure came, causing the experts below the great overarching realm to kneel down on one knee and bow down respectfully. The Order of the Heavenly Emperor. Mountain Master Tianyuan lifted his head and frowned. Note, we are really sorry for the inconvenience, everyone. There was a mix-up with the Raws, so some chapters ended up being merged. Instead, they should be released in parts. We resolved this issue now, so it won't occur again. The Order of the Heavenly Emperor. It was an order that could only be given out by the Great Heavenly Venerate, which was otherwise known as the Heavenly Emperor. He had absolute control over the Heavenly Court. He listened to no one, and everyone had to follow his order. The content of the order was simple. It stated that Jiang Ming had contributed a lot to the Heavenly Court by exposing and taking down the Northern Emperor Kunpeng, who tried to rebel against the Heavenly Court. Not only that, but he was powerful enough so he was picked as the first candidate to be the next Northern Emperor. However, he still needed to be observed for another 100 years. The heavenly decree was large and it spanned over 3,000 miles. The Tao inscription on it was clear and it was filled with Tao fluctuation. The content spread over the entire Infinite Realms battlefield and to various parts of the heavenly realms. This was the terrifying aspect of the heavenly decree. Afterward, the heavenly decree turned into a scroll and landed on Jiang Ming's palm. Jiang Ming frowned. He did not know why, but he instinctively disliked the content of the heavenly decree, and he hesitated as he looked at the heavenly decree that fell before him. He was not sure if he should accept it or not. After all, it was the heavenly decree. Could he reject it? Just when he was hesitating, Mountain Master Tian Yuan's voice rang out in his mind. Take it. You can't reject the order of the great heavenly venerate. Accept it first, and will then play by ear. Jiang Ming then raised both hands and took the heavenly decree. His hands fell and he felt like he was holding a divine mountain. With a flick of his mind, he flipped his palm and stored the heavenly decree into the human path's record. Before he could check it out, another 2 heavenly decrees descended from the sky. One of them told them to investigate the abyss, while another stated the opening of the Great Abyss trial. After that, the 2 heavenly decrees turned into dots of golden light and merged into the 4 directions of the sky, spreading the news out rapidly. Investigate the abyss, the opening of the Great Abyss trial. Things are going to get out of hand, Mountain Master Tian Yuan said as his face set in a serious expression. He nodded into the distance and tugged at Jiang Ming. Let's go back. Jiang Ming nodded. He was exhausted from the battles, and he felt it was safer for him to go back right now. As for other people, he did not care about them. Both of them heaved out a sigh of relief after entering the Tian Yuan realm. Fortunately, he came, otherwise we might be in danger. Mountain Master Tian Yuan said, this is truly a special place. Not only do the demons crave it, but the other forces want to take a peek as well. Even the heavenly decree could hardly stop them. Brother, who are you talking about? Yang Ming asked. Wan Lian, Great Monarch. The infinite alchemy pavilion in the human world is established by his descendants. You can count it as his legacy. Mountain Master Tian Yuan said. It's him who came just now. What? Jiang Ming exclaimed. I'm the one who wiped out his descendants. If he finds out, will he come after me? Haha. Mountain Master Tian Yuan laughed. Rest assured. He's not a petty-minded person. He cares about the world more than his own descendants. He wouldn't mind about them as long as they don't go around and bully other people. For him, they should consider themselves lucky for getting his legacy. He wants them to fare for themselves and he would never protect them. Jiang Ming nodded. He felt that Mountain Master Tian Yuan did not tell him everything, but now was not the right time to press on the matter. In the blink of an eye, they had arrived at Shuyang Peak. Senior brother? Linglong threw herself into Jiang Ming's arms. I'm worried sick about you. When she saw Jiang Ming was injured from his fight against Kunpeng and Ghostface Demon Venerate, she wanted to go forward and assist him. However, she was too weak, and she might only cause him trouble than help him, so she held herself back. The feeling was unbearable, and it felt like there were millions of ants gnawing at her heart. She felt like history had repeated itself again. Her senior brother was standing in front of her to protect her, but there was nothing she could do. I'm still so weak and useless even though I've been reborn once. Linglong's heart was dripping blood and she swore to herself that she had to work harder in her cultivation so that she could fight beside Jiang Ming next time. Don't worry, I'm fine. Jiang Ming rubbed her head. It was just that after he relaxed, a surge of lethargy and a pang of pain assaulted him. His face turned pale and cold sweats began to ooze out of his forehead. Senior brother? Linglong shouted. That's the aftermath of using those Tao vessels like bombs, Mountain Master Tian Yuan said. You're wired tight during the war, so you didn't feel anything. Now that you've relaxed, you can't stop all the pains from coming back to you. Mountain Master Tian Yuan's complexion was pale as well. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Jiang Ming forced a smile on his face. He lifted his head. The sky was dark, and the stars were blinking. Even if they were in the Infinite Realms battlefield, even if it was an endless flood of nothingness outside, they could still see stars and moon here. Obviously, there was a power that they couldn't see through acting in this area. You will be fine? Look at you. You can barely stand. Come, senior brother. Let me heal you, Linglong said as she pulled her into his room. Mountain Master Tian Yuan's eyebrows frowned in confusion. Why does he still need his junior sister around him when he's healing? Jiang Ming patted Linglong's hand and looked around. He grabbed something in the air and a house rose from the ground in the southwest of the courtyard. Then he turned to Mountain Master Tian Yuan and said, How about you rest and heal in that house over there, brother? We'll talk after we've recovered. Okay, Mountain Master Tian Yuan nodded. I have some pills with me. Do you need one? Thank you, brother, but you can keep them for yourself. It isn't a serious injury after all. Okay, give me a head up if you need my help. Mountain Master Tian Yuan leaped into the air and landed in the courtyard not far away. He sat in a lotus position and began healing his wound. He did not set up a formation either. Jiang Ming came to the kitchen and quickly whipped up 2 bowls of congee. Ling Long then carried the congee to the table. She had long since noticed that something wasn't right. No matter what happened, her senior brother would definitely cook 1 time a day. Even though she had a lot of questions in her mind, she never asked him anything. "Senior brother, lie down. I'll feed you the food," Ling Long said as she pushed Jiang Ming on the chair. She then picked a bowl of congee, blew it a little and put the scoop near Jiang Ming's lips. He took it and laughed. "As expected of me. The congee is tasty, but I think it'll be even tastier if you could feed me with your mouth." "You..." Ling Long rolled her eyes at Jiang Ming. That being said, she still did as he said and fed him the congee with her mouth. Jiang Ming's eyes glowed. "This is the best," Jiang Ming exclaimed as he gave Ling Long a thumbs up. Ling Long rolled her eyes at Jiang Ming again and said exasperatingly, "Do you need me to call the remaining 9 of them to come and feed you?" "No, no, no. I'll die." They finished the bowl of congee very soon. After a short while, he received a notification from the system.
Congratulations to host Jiang Ming for enjoying a great breakfast in a weekend stay.
"You have been awarded with a 10-soul refining sacred heart pill." Jiang Ming's eyes lit up with excitement after he read through the description for the pill. It's a supreme pill of wondrous effect. After taking it, it'll greatly boost one's soul and willpower and eliminate all negative states of the soul. Restriction can be taken by a quasi-sage or below. "This is just what I need," Jiang Ming said inwardly. However, before he could do anything, Ling Long had scooped him up from the chair. "Senior brother, let's go back inside. The Dragon Phoenix Heavenly Heart Bed can heal your injuries, and 10 of us will heal you together." "Put me down, Ling Long. I'm a man. How can you carry me like this?" Jiang Ming said as he jumped down from Ling Long's arms. Ling Long rolled her eyes at him. "This isn't the first time I carry you in my arms." After he had regained his balance, he looked around him. He noticed that there were a lot of experts observing them from the dark, but they did not dare to take any action. This was something he had expected, so he did not care about them. "I'm going to cultivate in the land of inheritance. I'll be back in a while," Jiang Ming said to his junior sister and pointed at Mountain Master Tian Yuan. "If anything happens, just protect yourself and let him go do the job." "Okay," Ling Long replied. Jiang Ming did not say anything anymore and went into the Supreme Pagoda. Ling Long came to the balcony and stood with her back straight. She scanned her surroundings, and her gaze was sharp like an eagle. The heavenly court. The great heavenly venerate did not leave his throne, and he was still looking at the world-observing mirror. He saw Yang Ming nearly kill Ghost-faced Demon Venerate, and how evil-hearted Demon Venerate appeared out of nowhere to save Ghost-faced Demon Venerate. Then, when he saw Yang Ming take the heavenly decree, he frowned. Where did he keep the heavenly decree? "I can't sense it anymore," he said. "The heavenly decree communicates with the origin of the universe and shares the same body as the heavenly court. It's considered part of me and he has severed the connection? Interesting." The great heavenly venerate's eyes glowed. The scene in the mirror changed to show the different parts in the heavenly realm. Many forces had already started to organize their disciples to form a large army to go into the abyss. Lord God Space. 2 beneficiaries survived and came back here. Both of them then spread the word about a golden immortal human who cultivated the world Tao had slain a quasi-sage great monarch. In the Supreme Pagoda, Jiang Ming came to the lotus platform on the Enlightenment Sea. He activated the time acceleration and took the 10-soul refining sacred heart pill to start healing himself. Jiang Ming was in the golden immortal realm. He had nurtured his inner world to the perfection stage of a small chiliocosm. His origin force was vast and equivalent to that of the great overarching extreme realm. The great overarching extreme realm was the real extreme realm across all universes. This was the terrifying power one would get after perfecting the small chiliocosm. Although his realm was low, his inner world was strong. Not only that, but he had mastered all 3,000 laws, and that made Jiang Ming's soul extraordinarily powerful. However, there was still a limit to how strong his soul could be. He had used up all his great overarching Tao vessels from the previous fight. Whenever he activated the sacrificial artifact judgment, his soul would receive a recoil damage once, and now he was at his limit. After he had taken the 10-soul refining sacred heart pill, not only were his wounds healed, but his soul had been greatly boosted and stepped into the next level. There were strands of gold coiling around his soul. Jiang Ming opened his eyes and exclaimed, "What an awesome pill!" His soul was boosted, and he now possessed the foundation of the sage soul. In other words, it was like a one-way ticket to the sage realm for him. If other people were to know about the pill, he was certain that the entire world would fall into chaos. Even though he had been healed back to his top condition, Jiang Ming still decided to take a rest. After all, there was no better way to get rid of mental fatigue than sleeping. How good it would be if my junior sister was here. With that thought in his mind, Jiang Ming fell into slumber. In the dream, he had formed 30 million clones and each of them had different shapes. He only woke up 3 days later. He rose to his feet and stretched his body. He felt fresh. The Lotus platform was huge. After he had activated the time acceleration feature, it became even bigger and expanded to nearly 10,000 meters square, which gave him a lot of convenience in his cultivation and it wouldn't hinder his daily activity. He took his ingredients out and began cooking himself a feast. After that, he summoned the Supreme Order, but as the order appeared in front of him, he stored it back. After all, he could not enter the chat group after he activated the time acceleration feature. I should have exchanged some resources with my group members before starting my cultivation, Jiang Ming said as he shook his head. He sat back down in a lotus position and began to go through his fight with the Northern Emperor and those demon venerates. Even though it seemed like he was powerful enough to slay the Northern Emperor and demon venerates, only he himself knew that he lacked skill and technique that could deliver the final blow. When he was going through the battle tower, Yang Ming could defeat all his opponents with his incarnation Dao and time-space forbidden technique. However, that was because none of his opponents wielded the quasi-sage weapons and they did not have any helpers. Even so, he couldn't go through the second stage of the 6th battle tower. From here, it was very obvious that he lacked some effective skills when facing a powerful opponent. For example, Bei Chengxing's Great Formation, Kunpeng's 7 Stars Formation, Northern Emperor's Authority and his helpers, Ghost-Faced Demon Venerate's Evil Demon Curse and several quasi-sage weapons. Even if he had the Saint Province Dao Square to help him, he did not have an overwhelming advantage over his opponents. I can defeat my opponents with the time-space forbidden technique or the return of infinite law finger, but if they're well prepared, there's nothing I can do. He had the confidence to defeat a great overarching expert, but when it came to a quasi-sage, things were different. Most of his techniques were less effective against them. Even the Holy Civilization Fist he got from Hong Yi or his own return of infinite law finger were proved to be ineffectual against them. However, this did not mean that those skills were not powerful. One of the explanations was that his cultivation level was too low. My enemies will only get stronger and stronger in the future, and it's impossible that my inner world would ascend to the next level in such a short amount of time. As for my cultivation level, I could try to cultivate the Taiyi law, but it wouldn't help much. Jiang Ming fell into thought. The power of the small chiliocosm was the reason why he could defeat a quasi-sage despite him being only a golden immortal. I guess, if I want to increase my combat prowess in a short time, I can only rely on the sacrificial artifact judgment and the return of infinite law finger. After he had made up his mind, Yang Ming calmed himself down and began cultivating. Then, he realized something was different. Compared to last time, my cultivation speed has increased by 100 times. Yang Ming was shocked. This must be the effect of the 10-soul refining sacred pill. This is great. I can cultivate even faster now, Jiang Ming exclaimed delightfully. After that, he started to comprehend the sacrificial artifact judgment. He had come to the 7th level this time, and he passed it without any difficulty. On the 7th level, I can finally detonate quasi-sage weapons, Jiang Ming said, but can I bring myself to detonate a quasi-sage weapon? Jiang Ming took the mystical arcane halberd out. Feeling the immense strength from it, he shook his head. He could somehow protect himself from the recoil damage of detonating a great overarching Dao vessels. But what about a quasi-sage weapon? He was confident that he would kill himself in the explosion as well if he were to detonate a quasi-sage weapon. He had fully mastered the sacrificial artifact judgment, but he still felt it was not enough. If he could detonate his own weapons, could he detonate his opponents too? If he could detonate or control his enemy's Dao vessels during a fight, it would certainly be able to turn the tide of the battle to his favor. Yang Ming's eyes glowed and he continued his cultivation. This time he decided to comprehend the Holy Civilization Fist as well as the return of infinite law finger. Time was fluttering away, the fog was dissipating. Yang Ming opened his eyes and sighed. He rose to his feet and glanced around the enlightenment sea. There were many other lotus platforms around him. Some of them were occupied while the others were empty. For those occupied lotus platforms, some were surrounded with fog, and he surmised that they must have activated the time acceleration feature as well. He turned around and his eyes glowed up when he saw the man on the square. He flew toward him and greeted him happily. "Brother Luo, it has been such a long time." Luo Heng, who was holding a glass of wine in his hand, was stunned for a moment before a smile broke across his face. "Brother Jiang, I didn't expect to run into you after entering this place. Today must be my lucky day. I just finished my cultivation and I saw you." Jiang Ming sat down. "You just came here today?" "Yes." Luo Heng nodded. "Well, I have to thank you too. If you hadn't told me to continue training, you might not be able to see me here today." At that time, he had just stepped into level 11, which was equivalent to the heavenly immortal realm. He felt that he was ready, so he wanted to attempt the Supreme Pagoda's trial. However, Yang Ming's voice rang out in his mind and he held himself back. Afterwards, I ventured into the secret domain of the universe and came across a great opportunity to raise my genetic level for 30,000 times. It's only then I have the confidence to attempt the trial. After I passed the trial, I realized that if I hadn't come across the opportunity, I might not have been able to pass it. I would then lose the Supreme Order, and you wouldn't be able to see me here today. Luo Heng said. "Genetic level? Jiang Ming asked. It's similar to the bloodline in your cultivation system, Luo Heng explained. Luo Heng was very excited since he had just come here. While Jiang Ming wanted to talk to someone after he finished his cultivation, he took some food out to share with Luo Heng. Both of them chatted, and when Jiang Ming mentioned Dongfang Chenxi and Ye Qingxian, Luo Heng lamented, I knew it, I knew they would make it here. Dongfang Chenxi is as powerful as you, while Ye Qingxian, although she's immortal, she's a genius. She has mentioned about you as well. She said you have a lot of determination, and certain that you would make it here too. Haha. Now we are able to meet in the Supreme Pagoda, maybe we'll be able to meet each other in the world outside, Jiang Ming laughed. We just need to work harder, and I'm sure the day will definitely come. I'll be looking forward to it then, Luo Heng said. At that time we'll fight side by side and conquer all universes. Jiang Ming also had told him the things here. He told him that he must keep on training until he had reached the extreme realm before attempting the trial. Luo Heng nodded seriously. After they had finished speaking, Jiang Ming bottomed up the last cup of wine and returned to the real world. After all, there were a lot of things waiting for him to be done outside. It took me a great effort to surpass him last time, and now he has surpassed me again. Luo Heng laughed and shook his head. He could sense how powerful Jiang Ming had become. Training, huh? Alright then. I'll try my best to join the Supreme Chat group again. Life will only be fun with challenges, and people can only motivate themselves to move forward when they have a goal. With a man like Brother Jiang, life will not be boring in the future, Luo Heng said. Peak, Linglong flew over and hugged him fiercely. Didn't you just go out a while ago? Started missing me already? Before the great battle just now, you left before you had a good rest. What do you think? I was missing a lot and worried to death. How are you now? Full of spirit, ready to fight for another 3,000 years. Really? Want to try me? Let's try then. I'm not afraid of you, but senior brother, I'm afraid you might be the one to surrender first. I practice some mythical special abilities and have forged myself an immortal spear. You're still too naive to think that you can shake me down. As the two continued to murmur, the fog around the manor slowly rose and the two of them had returned to their room. The Dragon Phoenix heavenly heartbed was getting a little bit more overwhelmed time after time. The laws have become more stable on the Infinite Realm battlefield, and it's now more difficult to accelerate time. Time junior sister sighed, looking at senior brother, her real self and the rest who were so impatient and not shy at all really made her feel like she couldn't help herself anymore. At the side of the cliff, Chang Yiming stood in the courtyard with his arms around Momo, looking at the manor with a complicated expression on his face. Yiming, are you not going over? I'm not going. You saw the battle just now, right? That level of destruction is at the heaven and the earth level, far beyond the limits of our imagination. I can't imagine that head disciple Jiang has reached such a level. The fact that he was able to return safely in the end means that there's nothing to be worried about and he should have emerged victorious. I fear that he won't feel that well after such a battle, so it's better not to disturb him. You're right, we can only watch silently and silently continue our cultivation. Although he was the head disciple back then, he was taken care of by us like he was our junior brother. How long has it been since then? I can't even compare myself to him anymore. Chang Yiming was very emotional. Momo nodded in agreement. In another area, Shi Yao had also finished her cultivation retreat. As she looked ahead, her expression became more complicated. She wanted to go over several times and have a look or ask around on what happened. However, she ended up not doing so. In the end, she couldn't hold herself back any longer, and just when she flew over to find Jiang Ming, she discovered a thick fog around the surrounding of the manor. Right after the great battle outside, the two started off their next great battle inside already. Isn't he afraid of dying from exhaustion? Shi Yao snorted, returned to the yard, and sat herself down. With a flick of her wrist, a jar of wine appeared. She poured herself a cup and drank by himself. However, there were many signs of confusion written all over her face. In Juyang Peak's main hall, the first seats as well as a group of elders were gathered around, and the atmosphere was very solemn. What can we do? The sect master looked at Gu Hai with a very complicated expression on his face. The other elders looked over as well. What we can do now is to do nothing. Gu Hai stood at the door of the main hall as his eyes were locked onto Chuyang Peak. He was anxious and restless as well, but forcibly held back his emotions. Although he didn't know what happened, it was clear that this was a critical time and that his disciples cannot be disturbed. But the sect master sighed faintly. We've been watching and watching all this time. As the sect master, it really makes me feel aggrieved, helpless, powerless, like I'm the one to be blamed for this. Yet, I can only watch helplessly from a distance. Same goes for me. Gu Hai turned around and sighed. All of us sensed the aftermath of the battle just now. What are we able to do about it? What we can do is to just watch silently and then continue our cultivation. The sect master nodded silently. At the place where King Yun's sect was originally located, Lu Changkong and Ye Ming stood side by side in the sky. Did you feel that? I'm the old dean. How can I not feel it? Although I don't know what managed to block it off, I can still feel that if even only a ray of that aura leaks through, it would still crush us to death. It's simply too terrifying. Even my soul is still trembling from it. Yes, it's way too terrifying. This also covertly shows that his strength is far beyond common sense. Perhaps this is also the chance of life that God has given to this world of ours. Yi Ming, what do you think we should do next? Old Dean, I suggest that the school be merged into the Juyang sect. The integration of all forces will be conducive to all our planning. Once we merge with them, we will become ordinary disciples. Can you reconcile this? Old Dean, what's not to be reconciled to? We are no longer in the mortal world already. It's their generosity that allows us to stand on our own feet, but we can't be ignorant. Besides, in the face of great changes, in the face of the immortal realm ahead, if we don't make changes, we are destined to disappear in the future. Yes, you are right. He may not care whether we are willing to merge with them, but we can't be ignorant. By allocating everyone at the same place can also allow him to better arrange for cultivation and let our mortal realm grow up in this world. As the two negotiated, they came to a decision. 3 days later, Jiang Ming was on the balcony of Chuyang Peak. It's really delicious. Jiang Ming's face was full of smiles, and the melancholy of the 10,000 years of cultivation retreat was completely dissipated from his mind, leaving only a long aftertaste and comfort. This is life. Jiang Ming was even more emotional when he saw the 4 flower fairies coming to attend to him. Yeah, this is life. Linglong laid on top of him. It would be great if there were no disputes or hatred, and we can all live a quiet life like this. There will be such a day. Jiang Ming stroked her long hair. Just wait for your senior brother to kill all the bad guys in the world. The world will then be peaceful. Linglong rolled her eyes in response and softly said, Senior brother, am I too weak? With a cultivation base of Tie realm yourself and your 9 clones at the golden immortal realm at least, who dares to even say that you are weak? Jiang Ming snorted. Stop thinking about nonsense. Yeah, but I'm still ready to go over to the place of inheritance for my cultivation. Linglong said hesitantly, if I stay here, I can't be of much help to you. It's better for me to continue my cultivation, step into the great overarching realm as soon as possible, and even break through to the quasi-sage realm. Have you thought well about it? I've thought well about it. All right then, how long will it take? 100 years over there is akin to 1 year in the outside world. I will definitely return within 100 years. I will try again to see if I can continue to increase the flow of time inside and cultivate as much time as possible. 100 years inside, that is equivalent to 100,000 years in the outside world. If you improve the time acceleration more. Yang Ming started hesitating. The longer you practice, the more indifferent your heart will be. It is quite a long time, so I suggest that you leave Phoenix Jr.'s sister behind. She is already in the Tai realm, so it's not a big problem for her to cultivate slower. We can communicate on a daily basis, so as not to be unfamiliar with each other to the point that you forgot about me. I also intend to do so. It's so that you can communicate with her every day and keep your attention away from Shi Yao. Linglong whispered reluctantly. In the end, she connected herself with the heavenly order to go to the place of inheritance. Jiang Ming was a little disappointed from her leaving. Phoenix Jr.'s sister came over to him, laid by his side, hugged his arm, and the temperature began to rise. Senior brother, you will be all mine from now on. My whole body is almost burning from excitement. As her voice fell, her body was directly ignited in flames. Jiang Ming started to get lightheaded from this. He thought, she's happy? Hey, that's easy to work with. We'll just go back into the house so that she can't get up anymore. Immediately, he did as he thought. Leisure time always makes people lazy. Other than exercising every day, Jiang Ming was just lounging around on the roof. Mountain Master Tian Yuan was still recovering himself, and Jiang Ming didn't know how long it would take for his full recovery. As he looked at the light on the eastern horizon, he couldn't help thinking of Dongfang Chenxi. He was prepared to communicate with the Supreme Order to enter the chat group, and also trade some items at the same time. However, his expression suddenly changed and his figure disappeared instantly. He came over to the Immortal Medicine Garden instead. The current Immortal Medicine Garden had expanded greatly. Although it had not been carefully managed, it was still in good order. The immortal lights were flowing, with the aura of vitality transforming into long rivers. The glare from daybreak loomed over as the sun set in the west. The only thing that was a pity about the garden was that there were very few real immortal medicines because he had no time to plant them. Therefore, most of them were the supreme grade or the king grade spiritual medicine in the mortal realm. They were all basically ripe for harvest already. Master, the 4 flower fairies, Hua Hua, Hua Yu, Hua Rui, and Hua Jing flew over one after another. They were all 1 meter tall and were very delicate and sweet. Behind them were wings that looked like rainbows, fluttering and sprinkling small sparkles of lights. Although their bodies had not grown, their strength had stepped into the Paradise realm, and they were a step away from the extreme path realm as well. It was hard to go slow when they practiced their cultivation here. Master, several ancient war trees swayed their branches and saluted. Jiang Ming nodded and looked over at the spiritual fountain. The supreme grade spiritual fountain, a reward he obtained in the very beginning, hence was very precious. But now, it was no longer enough for him at this point. Inside of the spiritual fountain was an enlightenment immortal tea tree. It used to grow very slowly. Later, Jiang Ming watered it with immortal fluid from time to time, and with the nourishment of preternatural soil it had now matured. An immortal plant reaching maturity for the first time. According to its grade, it was only a low-grade spiritual root, but its meaning was totally different. After all, this was planted by him himself, and it was also the first time it matured. There were 3,000 leaves on the enlightenment tea tree, each of which was crystal clear and imprinted with complex patterns like the scriptures of the sky. Yang Ming reached out and grabbed it. The 3,000 leaves flew up and landed in a jade box that he took out. These tea leaves did not need to be fried and could just be brewed directly. There was a look full of anticipation on his face. Because this was the first time he harvested an immortal item, he thought the rewards would surely not be bad at all. Sure enough, the system prompt sounded. Ding! Congratulations to the host Jiang Ming for the first time harvesting mature immortal treasures. Rewarded 1 instance of the strongest special ability of the current Heavenly Emperor of Honggu Heavenly Realm today. Jiang Ming was very surprised. However, the light in his eyes flickered quickly and all kinds of ideas and thousands of thoughts poured into his mind. Emperor's strongest special ability, a simple introduction about it was that it contained the power to suppress all the heavens. After all, it was recognized that the great heavenly venerate was the strongest in the Honggu heavenly realm. Therefore, the power of his strongest special ability was naturally terrifying. Jiang Ming took a look and harvested the rest of the spiritual medicine. The quality was poor, but the quantity was very large. He got a few low-grade immortal veins and a special ability card as rewards. This is interesting. Jiang Ming smiled and put it away. He was going to put the 2 special ability cards into good use. Looking at the spiritual medicinal garden, it was no longer of much worth. The value of the harvest was poor and the rewards were not satisfactory. He was now at the level 14 cultivation base and could open up 14 acres of land. If he planted immortal roots, it was obviously too small, but it would not be an issue. He could use a large formation array to isolate it and then use the immortal soil and immortal fluid to water it. It was not a big problem. He then transferred the spiritual fountain over right next to the mountain stream next to Chuyang Peak, and the spiritual medicines in between the mountain peaks. Then, he took out 2 immortal veins, stabilized with great mana, and then integrated them into the spiritual medicinal garden. In an instant, the divine light rose, and the immortal fogs turned into mist, turning this place a real fairyland. He later took out 2 low-grade immortal veins, one to be integrated under Chuyang Peak, while the other to be integrated under the Taiyang main peak and branched into various peaks. The Infinite Realm battlefield was considered the scribe of the immortal realm to begin with. After Tianyuan world descended into the place, it was baptized by the laws of immortal Tao. The energy of immortal spirits gathered, changing both animals and plants rapidly. However, it was only now that the Juyang sect had truly ushered into a metamorphosis. Each peak exhaled immortal luminance, and the immortal essence gathered. It allowed many disciples to undergo a series of baptisms, and their aptitudes were greatly improved. Yang Ming also told Gu Hai the situation through voice transmission. The sect master and the others naturally realized this change, and when they learned that Jiang Ming was the one who did it, all of them cupped their hands showing gratitude towards Jiang Ming's direction. This is what true great fortune looks like. This is what's truly called the foundation, the true foundation for us to rise above all. The sect master burst into tears. In the future we Juyang sect, no, we will soon become the Juyang immortal sect. Immediately afterwards they saw Jiang Ming flying away with a spiritual vein in his hand, winding around like a dragon. With a flick in the sky, it landed above the sky and extended into a length of 90,000 miles. As Jiang Ming pointed at it casually, the dragon melded into Qing province and merged into ley lines. In an instant, the mountains everywhere suddenly rose, reaching the depths of the clouds, and the immortal luminance that was beaming from them also caused the plants to grow and evolve rapidly. After Jiang Ming arranged the 5 low-grade immortal veins that he had obtained this time around, he landed in the spiritual medicinal garden again. No, it was the immortal medicinal garden now. However, what he didn't notice was that his simple act had caused such great sensation all around. Anyway, he wouldn't have cared even if he knew of it. The poor would only be good to themselves, and those who are successful would help the world. Although he was not a great person, he was willing to do it casually. After all, these immortal veins were no longer of much use to him. After rummaging around, he discovered a lot of immortal seeds, and their qualities were not bad. After all, most of them were from the beneficiaries of the Lord God Space and Reincarnation Hall. Those were all geniuses among geniuses, with their cultivation bases being above the immortal Lord Realm. They would collect only the treasures of the infinite realms and wouldn't have kept them if they were of lower grades anyways. In the heavenly realm, immortal plants are divided into immortal medicines and immortal roots. They are then divided into low grade, middle grade, high grade, and top grade. Immortal grasses are still quite common, but immortal roots are rare. Jiang Ming thought about it. Immortal roots were often referred to as spiritual roots, which were all kinds of exotic species that existed in the form of trees. Even if they were low-graded ones, they were still invaluable, such as the enlightenment immortal tea tree, for example. Immortal medicine existed in the form of grass and had amazing effects. It was relatively common, but its value was also immense. It's too difficult to nurture spiritual roots. The time needed can only be measured in 10,000 years. Jiang Ming hesitated. Taking the enlightenment immortal tea tree, for example, he placed much effort into it by providing preternatural soil and even integrated the innate vital essence and many more. Even so, it took a great while before it grew into a stubble. However, once the spiritual root reached its mature state, the time for it to bear fruits would be correspondingly shorter, and they could be harvested one after another. The top-graded ones take too long to mature. The rewards from the low-graded ones may not be satisfactory, and my strength has improved too fast. Therefore, Jiang Ming thought about it and came to a decision. This time around, all the low-grade immortal grasses were planted, and they were all the same species as well. This would allow them to mature together and could be harvested together. Fortunately, there was one kind of seed with a sufficient number of seeds. Jiang Ming planted the yin-yang immortal grass, which absorbs the power of the sun during the day and the light of the stars and moon at night, allowing it to grow very quickly. Upon maturity, it had a wide range of uses, whether for alchemy or directly swallowing it to absorb the yin-yang energy. They were all of great use. It was a pity that even if it was a low-grade immortal grass protected by an array formation technique, only 10 plants could be planted in 1 acre of land. The piece of land could not support more if there were. He imparted the methods of caring for the immortal grass to the 4 flower fairies, and he no longer paid attention to it. Jiang Ming then returned to the balcony and laid on the chair, swaying leisurely. Glancing at the distance, he could see that the 5th immortal moon had completed her breakthrough and was still consolidating her cultivation. There was still a lot of time remaining for this mission, so she didn't need to be in a hurry to return. Jiang Ming didn't pay too much attention to her. Upon reaching the Taiyi realm, with the resources of the Reincarnation Hall, coupled with his support, it would be difficult for the 5th immortal moon to even achieve low achievements. With a thought in his heart, he called out the Supreme Order. Cultivation in Hongmeng Primordial Land once with 500,000 points. Jiang Ming looked a little complicated. This was bound to be a sky-defying great encounter for him. Once he went over, there would definitely be benefits far beyond his imagination there. After all, 1 point would grant him an opportunity to accelerate time, comprehend the laws of heaven and earth, and even further initiate the enlightenment mode. One must know that under the acceleration of time, the principles of law would be distorted, and it would be difficult to comprehend Tao. The individual could only perform self-precipitation and deduce special abilities. A person could see the horror of the Sea of Enlightenment based on that. In addition, 1 point allowed a person to experience enlightenment once. With 1,000 points, one could listen to the sermons of a peerless expert who would be at least in the Sage Venerate realm. The Sage Venerate that was in the Sage realm. 10,000 points could save a person's life once. Even a peerless expert like Kumpeng who controlled the power of heaven and earth would not be able to shake its defense. This was equivalent to an extra life already. These were the reasons why points were so precious. However, 500,000 points could only be exchanged for 1 chance of cultivating in Hongmeng Primordial Land. This meant that this was a completely unexpected great opportunity that was beyond common sense. Even so, Jiang Ming could not go for it. He had communicated with the Supreme Order. Whether it was listening to the sermons or going to the primordial land to cultivate, the time consumed would be synchronized with reality. Cultivating at the primordial land for a month would be the same as reality. However, the system required him to cook and eat on the mountain every day. This is such a pain in the ass. Jiang Ming had the urge to clear off his past accumulation and go to the primordial land to cultivate. After pondering about it, the system was still the fundamental root to him. His inner world had also recently reached its limit. The precipitation had been exhausted and it was impossible for him to break through without boundless resources available. It was definitely not possible for Jiang Ming to break through in a short time. Nevertheless, going to the primordial land could help improve his inner world further. Hence, it was very tempting for Jiang Ming. Ugh! With a sigh, his subconscious sank into the Supreme Immortal chat room. Anyone here? Anyone here? Brother Group Admin, I'm here. I'm here again. Teehee, you are still the group admin. You joined the chat group. Congratulations. Are you all familiar with it by now? All familiar already. The Taoists here in the group are very friendly. Brother Group Admin, your battle record is too awesome. As soon as you came in, you broke the record and became the Brother Group Admin. With a record of level 37 in the battle towers and step 42 of the heavenly ladders, you are too incredible. As expected of the Brother Group Admin, I admire. You're making me embarrassed. It's quite a pity. I'm still not sure if my current self can clear the 6th battle tower. What you said is true. I'm now of the Taiyi realm and yet I still couldn't make my way into the 6th battle tower. No, it's almost impossible. For the initial realms, it is relatively easy to fight by leapfrogging. but it gets more difficult as it goes. When I faced the 5th battle tower when I was in the Tai realm, I was only able to make my way up to level 7. God damn. The group admin, on the other hand, has already entered the 6th battle tower. I suspect that the group admin is not a human, but has the purest ancestral dragon bloodline, which has undergone mutation.
Aren't you scolding me?
E must be scolding you. Dragons, as everyone knows, like to mess around. They wouldn't even let go of a 3-legged toad. He said that you are from the blood of ancestral dragon. Cough, cough. I can't even bear to continue talking to Ishu. You 3-legged man. You must have had it with a toad yourself.
Amitabha.
You two benefactors. Indiscriminate and incest are not allowed in the group. It's okay, this sounds like a great topic. Men and women, women and men. It's just such trivial matters, so there's no need to cover it up. Feng Wu, you are more forthright now. I'm 10,000 years old already. What haven't I heard or seen before? Even if I haven't experienced it, with a swift sense of my spiritual thoughts through the great chiliocosm, there is nothing in the mundane world that could be hidden from me. I really don't understand why it's such a taboo about the harmony of yin-yang inheritance. I suggest that when Aolong is exercising again, he can make a live broadcast so that we can all enjoy it together. You are ruthless. You can even broadcast live. If you can trade, of course you can do live broadcasts and post pictures. Group admin, I can turn into anything. Would you like some pictures? That's not right. Something's really wrong. Sister Feng Wu is too fierce today. Could it be that she was agitated by something? Was it abandonment? Or did she find out about the mistress? Yi Huio, I feel that she's more on fire than I am. Can't an old lady like me seduce the group admin? Sister Fei Wei, you are so much older than me, and the brother group admin is even younger. We should take a screenshot of Feng Wu right at this moment. Shocked? Or does she want to strangle little Chenxi? Wife 3 years older than the husband ensures a richer life. A wife 30 years older than the husband ensures the husband with a whole legacy. A wife 300 years older than the husband ensures the husband with boundless immortal elixirs. A wife 3,000 years older than the husband ensures the husband is well ranked among even the immortals. A wife 30,000 years older than the husband is like a mother pampering a child. A wife 300,000 years older than the husband makes even the Buddha and monarchs salute in respect. A wife 3 million years older than the husband ensures the husband with total dominance in the immortal realm. A wife 30 million years older than the husband ensures the whole infinite realm revolve around him. Why did the scene change suddenly like that? Loneliness, so it's better to have more fun. If you have more fun, it is better to open up first. The older you are, the more enjoyable it is. After all, you have a lot more knowledge and a variety of techniques. Group admin, do you want me to introduce you to a 300 billion-year-old lady? I guarantee that you will be successful in life by merely lying down. I also want to be successful in life by merely lying down. She likes to eat dragon meat the most, especially the dragon brain. She cracks open the head and with just a slurp, the brain matters would all be in her mouth, fresh and smooth. The dragon flesh will be cooked later on to savor them slowly. I am an honest person, a pure person, and a person with a superior spirit. Then why do you understand these dirty thoughts of mine? It's because I understand them that makes me truly noble. It's called emerging from the swamps without being stained, and that means you've emerged too. Group admin, were you able to hit the nail on the head? If you introduce him to a 300 million-year-old lady, would he still be able to hit the nail? Before he could even hit the nail, his needle would have broken. Namo Mitaba! What are you talking about? What words are using here? Why can't the little monk myself not understand it? Rather, it makes me want to hear it more. Absolutely not.
Well, this is the Buddha of joy for you.
I'm not. Absolutely not. I'm the purest. The Lord Buddha also said that I have a delicate and pure heart of Buddha. I'm chuckling right now.
Jiang Ming shivered as he read through the conversation. They were all too violent, especially Feng Wu, who used to be very reserved, had now become so forthright that it was terrifying. Jiang Ming opened the human path record to take a look. Good heavens, no wonder she became like that. It turned out that the Grand Elder in her clan told her about her match. Apparently the other party had great qualifications, excellent aptitude, refined temperament, and even of a noble identity. However, she found out the secret of the other party, that this guy actually had a taste for females who were fat as a pig or of dragons and demon race. To top it off, he liked not one of them, but a whole group instead. In a fit of rage, she beheaded the guy and almost killed the Grand Elder. Even so, she was still full of anger. She even threatened that whoever dared to bring up that man in their conversation in front of her, she would behead them right there and then. Based on the group, however, what Jiang Ming saw was a different scene, though it could be seen that she was still full of anger, and his chests were like two mountains as they puffed up in anger. Jiang Ming was entertained as he read their conversation. Dongfang Chenxi, however, hid herself as she was obviously thin-skinned and was shy about it. Unrestrained chatting, especially with beautiful women on such an intimate topic. This feels really good. Really, really good. He had a smile on his face, but was also ready to get down to business. Everyone, does anyone want to do some trading? I have with me tens of millions of points. I'm not afraid if you have a lot of great treasures, just worried that you guys can't come up with any. The chat group went silent for a while. My godness, group admin, you really are a human.
Be careful or I won't give you a deal.
Oh my brother group admin, I was wrong.
God damn it.
I'm going to barf.
I spat out a mouthful of sun god fire.
This little loach is such a disgusting person. Group admin, what do you need? As expected of both the former and current group admin. What do you want? Beauties? I can collect 3,000 beauties of different races for you. Brother group admin, tell me what you need. Chenxi, you just have to practice hard and don't focus on other things. If you need anything, find me first. Everyone, I need immortal veins, divine veins, immortal crystals, divine stones, immortal fluid, innate vital essence, chaotic vital essence, immortal plants, high-quality energy crystals, etc. I also need level 15 Tai Dao vessels, best if it's a whole set, and level 16 great overarching Dao vessels, level 17 quasi-sage weapons, and level 18 holy weapons. As long as you've got them, I want them all. Wuquan, Group 1 Wuquan. Group 1 Wuquan, Group 1 Wuquan. Could it be that your small chiliocosm is at its limit and you are preparing to break through into the middle chiliocosm? It must be. Otherwise, there is no need to trade for such things. Dao vessels? Group admin, which level is your current cultivation base? That's right. I am accumulating to break through to the middle chiliocosm, 7th floor currently.
Damn it.
You're still the boss of the group. I strained myself working hard and exhausted a lot of points, yet I'm able to advance into the 5th floor only. The others reading the conversation probably felt like they were confused, but they could guess that the conversation between the two must be a kind of cultivation technique. Huang Quan had only cultivated to the 5th level, which must be extraordinary already. But the group admin who had just joined the group had reached the 7th floor already. Just thinking about Jiang Ming's accumulated points, there was nothing to be curious about. How long is the time limit? The sooner the better. No longer than 30 years, I think. 30 years? 30 years. There's enough time. I'll need to head out and stretch myself already. I'll first destroy the Lich Realm and then slaughter the Heavenly Demon Kingdom. If I'm able to exchange enough points, I can either use them for enlightenment or to listen to sermons. My path of civilization Dao is bound to go further, which will help me open up a civilized world. By then, my Dao will be completed, and I will be able to lead myself directly to the Holy Dao.
I'm going to go find the Lord Buddha.
Should I find the Dragon Monarch? These are points for crying out loud. This is better than any great encounters. I'm gonna find my great monarch and get ready to initiate a doomsday war. I will go stir up my clansmen to launch a holy war and start the footwork of unifying the world. Even Shu Wuji, Lan Hai, and the other group members had emerged to have a say in it. Jiang Ming was very happy to see such a result. With friends in the infinite realm, they really were the best workers of all. Those who have to be paid would only cost him a few points. The time limit for my inner world to reach the middle chiliocosm should be shortened by a lot. As Jiang Ming thought to himself, there was a slight tingle in his subconscious and his conscious self returned to reality. As his eyes swept around and he gazed at the southern direction outside of Tianyun World, his eyes flashed and he couldn't help whispering, "Interesting, this is really interesting." Phoenix Jr.'s sister came pacing over in the air with a person by her side. "Greetings, senior uncle." Mo Xiaoyu was still a young little girl, but she had a serious look on her face as she came to pay homage to Jiang Ming. "How's your training coming along?" Jiang Ming was quite satisfied with this disciple of his junior sister. At least she was not a naughty one. Most of the time she meditated alone, asked Shi Yao occasionally for advice, and went to the main peak to practice. Reporting to my senior uncle, I'm already in the false core formation realm now. False core formation, not bad. Jiang Ming nodded. The fact was that she was considered very slow already. After all, the current Tianyun world had undergone great changes, and the immortal spirit was dense. While improving the physique, it also allowed cultivators to improve their cultivations rapidly. Mo Xiaoyu's aptitude was good, but was only in the false core formation realm. The only explanation was that she should have suppressed her cultivation, hence not improving rapidly. Being able to endure such loneliness was not bad at such a young age as her. There's only one such disciple on the mountain right now. Aren't you going to give her anything? Ling Long said with a smile. It's not time yet. Jiang Ming shook his head. When she enters the golden core realm and passes the test, I will bestow her a great fortune. That's all right as well. Phoenix Jr.'s sister knew clearly and understood that her senior brother wanted to continue sharpening Mo Xiaoyu's temperament. After passing the test of the heart, her future cultivation would naturally go smoothly. Mo Xiaoyu retreated and left the place. Junior's sister laid herself beside him, held onto her chin and asked, "Senior brother, what did you see just now? From the looks of your expression, something seems to be wrong." Jiang Ming raised his hand and swiped, and a mirror appeared out of thin air, reflecting a scene in the mirror. When Junior's sister took a closer look, her brows tingled slightly. "Is this the Southern Sea? The changes have been huge." It was no ordinary change. After the previous battle, the seawater had evaporated, the area of the sea had expanded dozens of times. Even the earth was almost pierced through and the infinite realm battlefield almost collapsed. Now that the great battle was over, the rules of the world had been adjusted and the seawater restored. However, the area of this sea had greatly increased. Relatively speaking, Tianyuan world became almost like a real island, existing alone at the northern end. Above the southern sea, an incomparably huge palace appeared, slowly descending from the heavens, as endless divine light shone in all directions. The sharp blinding luminance that oppressed the heavens swept through the vast area. Through the intensity of its power, a great overarching golden immortal could instantly tell that this palace was a quasi-sage Dao vessel. A palace that was a quasi-sage Dao vessel. It was immeasurably invaluable and gave off a high mighty aura. Are they provoking us by descending at a slow pace? Phoenix Jr.'s sister raised her eyebrows with golden flames flowing in her eyes. It should be trying to announce its arrival. Jiang Ming's expression was indifferent. Let's wait and see. It didn't take long for the palace to fall onto the sea and actually covered about 10,000 kilometers of the area. A truly monstrous palace indeed. On the walls of the palace, divine brilliance surged through as immortal luminance were seen flickering. There were also incomparably complicated inscriptions on them, all connected together, seemingly sealing a terrifying power within. The palace gate was facing north, facing directly at Tianyuan world. A young man clad in white robes flew out from the palace. His long hair was fluttering as his big sleeves waved around. He was beaming with refined temperament and had a smile on his face. This person clasped his fists and cupped his hands in respect at Chuyang Peak of Tianyuan world. His voice was loud and reverberated between the heavens and the earth. "I'm Ryu Changfeng, director of the Infinite Realm Auction House. When I was traveling through time and space, I felt the change in energy of this place as well as the accumulation of great fortune here. Hence I decided to descend into this realm. I gathered around for information just now and learned that there was a great battle that took place here not long ago. Brother Jiang took the lead in the battle and became famous all over the world through the great battle. Congratulations on your success. However, when I descended here into this territory of Brother Jiang's, I did not ask for permission beforehand. Hence I hope that Brother Jiang wouldn't mind too much about it, as I would like to offer a great overarching Dao vessel as compensation for this incident. At the same time, please allow me to open an auction house here to communicate with all worlds and each other." Upon his greetings, he gave a bow of respect while cupping his hands. He then flung his sleeves and out flew a long sword heading towards Tianyuan world and stopping at the edge of the lands. Interesting. Jiang Ming stood up on Chuyang Peak and walked to the balcony, looking over with a pair of divine eyes. He wasn't shocked that the other party knew of his name. After all, he could find out about it with just a little probing or even absorb the residual information from the void and such. There were too many methods that could be done to get his name. However, it was peculiar that he was able to see him over Quyang Peak. After all, the place was shrouded by the Saint Province Dao Square. Aloud, Jiang Ming replied with just a word, reached out and grabbed with his hand as the long sword at the edge of the lands flew over quickly. At the same time, he was enveloped by sword with the power of Saint Province Dao Square and discovered that there was no imprint in it. It was an unowned great overarching Dao vessel, and of the pinnacle of great overarching Dao vessel quality. Very interesting indeed. When the sword flew nearer in front of him, he inserted the sword into the human path record for further testing and found no problems with it. Jiang Ming glanced and saw the introduction to the Heaven's Decree, which he kept early, and snorted coldly upon reading. Introduction to Heaven's Decree. There is a trace of the origin and authority of the Honggu heavenly realm, which can be manipulated by the heavenly emperor, and its power could explode any time. Whether it was the content of the Heaven's Decree or the Heaven's Decree itself, he felt the uneasiness of the Emperor and that he was up to no god but didn't care much about it. He knew the Heavenly Emperor would not present himself so soon even if he coveted him. After all, his position and identity as the Heavenly Emperor did not allow him to simply make a move. I look forward to the future. As Jiang Ming thought about it, the pages of the human path record flipped through quickly, and the contents on Changfeng appeared. Name: Ryu Changfeng. Race: human. Gender: male. Cultivation base: quasi-sage. Realm: background: the 49th Director of Infinite Realm Auction House. Relationship: 76. Innate talent: Holy Dao. Time-space Taoist body. Status: originally a prince of a small kingdom of a small chiliocosm, he was born with a time-space Taoist body but was unable to contain its power. He was frail and sickly during his young age. At the age of 12, their nation fell apart and he was secretly escorted out. Due to his poor aptitude, he did not receive much attention and that saved his life. However, his escort was dead during the journey and Changfeng began to wander around, struggling at the edge of death for survival. He had witnessed too many evils and met countless good-hearted people. He was living in the dark era but had light of hope in his heart, struggling optimistically to survive. To him, living yet another day meant living up to this great lifetime of his. When he was 16, the consciousness of the infinite realm auction house's elder roamed through the void of heavens, swept through the long river of time. When he swept through this place, he discovered Ryu Changfeng that was blessed with the time-space Taoist body who had a tenacious heart. Slightly moved by his tenacity, the elder left a time-space inheritance for Changfeng. Cultivating the inheritance that was in sync with his body, Changfeng's cultivation progressed by leaps and bounds. Once he had attained a certain achievement to his cultivation, he began to wander around the world, shining the world brightly with his sword. He was kind to the good and cruel to the evil. Growing up in bloodshed, marching forward in laudations and songs, he was a legend in countless worlds. After entering the great overarching realm, he was led to the headquarters of the Infinite Realm Auction House, where he began his meditation until he reached the quasi-sage realm. After countless trials and competitions with others, he was selected from many candidates, won the position of director of the Infinite Realm Auction House. He then walked in the long river of time, descended to all places in the heavens and the earth, and collected the breath of the heavens and the earth through conducting auctions, making shocking profits at the same time. He once killed the chaotic beasts, once fought against the sage venerate and escaped, once auctioned off the heart of the universe of a great chiliocosm and was brimming with countless brilliant achievements. As he controlled the mighty power of the Infinite Realm Auction House and wandered in the long river of chaos, he felt that there was a change in the Honggu heavenly realm. Hence he came over. By merging his heart with the world to collect information, he was greatly amazed to discover a man who was also of the human race could kill a quasi-sage expert. He decided to set up an Infinite Realm auction house here and see if he could get himself a great encounter in return. Jiang Ming was shocked upon looking through his status. He knew Changfeng was not an ordinary person but a truly sky-defying existence because of his time-space Taoist body. To be able to control time and space when he grew up, he was almost invincible and among those of the same level as him. Putting those aside, this person was able to escape from the clutches of a sage venerate upon growing up. What made a sage venerate? Those below the sage venerate were mere feeble ants. No matter how strong a quasi-sage expert might be, he would still be an ant. Jiang Ming still didn't know how strong a sage venerate could be, but this person's ability to escape from a sage venerate's grasp clearly showed how sky-defying his existence was. Wandered through the long river of chaos, Jiang Ming felt some pain in his teeth as he gritted tightly. It seemed that this person was of no ordinary background at all. It was obvious that he came from the terrifying areas in the chaos, which allowed one to travel the infinite realms and even let a quasi-sage expert travel through time and space, capable of descending into any place at any time. This background of his was absolutely comparable to the Lord God's space and the reincarnation hall already. Fortunately, Changfeng was of the human race and they had a natural sense of intimacy. Moreover, their relationship value was not low. Therefore, Changfeng was a good person. With a thought in his heart, a clone appeared beside Jiang Ming and walked over to Ryu Changfeng. "Senior brother, are you going to test the waters with him?" Phoenix Jr.'s sister asked. Jiang Ming nodded. Since he is showing a good attitude, he should be a guest rather than an enemy. Moreover, he is here at the door of our home, so it's natural for us to greet him. Feeling something in his heart, Jiang Ming turned his head and saw that Mountain Master Tian Yuan had finished his cultivation retreat. His breath was harmonious with the surroundings and he had integrated himself with heaven and earth, giving people a feeling that he was the power of Tao and vice versa. "Old brother," Jiang Ming smiled and cupped hands in respect to greet him. "Young brother," the Mountain Master Tian Yuan paced over in the air, clasped his fists to greet him. As his gaze swept over Phoenix Jr.'s sister, his brows moved slightly and said, "This younger brother's sister, she's Linglong's clone named Phoenix." Jiang Ming introduced. "My greeting to you, old brother." Phoenix Jr.'s sister greeted him. She seems as though she was a complete individual. Such a clone. Mountain Master Tian Yuan hesitated. "Greetings to younger brother's sister." Jiang Ming smiled, without explaining too much, but said, "Old brother, has your injury recovered?" "It's almost there." As Mountain Master Tian Yuan replied, he looked at Jiang Ming himself and said strangely, "You have fully recovered yourself. Self-destructing a Tao vessel would damage the soul of the primal spirit. That sort of injury is an injury to a person's origin and is the most difficult to recover of all. I have a secret technique to it," Yang Ming said, pointing to the palace in the Tianyuan Sea and said, "Brother, have you heard of the Infinite Realms Auction House, originating from chaos? Infinite Realms Auction House from the chaos?" Mountain Master Tianyuan frowned and was in deep thought. His eyes suddenly lit up, but hesitantly said, I have heard that in a long time ago there was an auction house that brought upon huge changes to our Honggu heavenly realm. A very long time ago, a time where Mountain Master Tian Yuan had not yet attained enlightenment. Rather, it was back in the time where he hadn't even ascended into the heavenly realm. There were not any sage venerates born between heavens and earth yet. Many forces were slaughtering each other in bloodbaths. The universe was chaotic, and calamity spread through all over the world. One day, a palace suddenly descended on the battlefield of the war that has lasted for 3,000 years. Its divine luminance soared into the sky, brimming with luxuriant immortal power, and attracted the attention of many powerful beings. As a result, they were bombarded and 8 quasi-sages were killed with one blow. Another ray of divine luminance later slashed down the quasi-sage expert of the pinnacle who was the strongest of the time, and it deterred all the others. The gate of the palace was opened, and placed on display were countless immortal weapons and Tao vessels, peerless immortal special abilities, spiritual pills and spiritual roots, and even the ways of sanctifying a person's path towards the holy Tao. In fact, the existence of the way of sanctifying Tao was first introduced around from then on. That's all that I know of. Mountain Master Tian Yuan looked at the southern sea with a solemn expression. I didn't expect the legends to be true. After such a long time, the Infinite Realm Auction House has descended again. The way of sanctifying the path of Tao came from the Infinite Realm Auction House? Jiang Ming was very surprised. The rumor says so. Mountain Master Tian Yuan laughed. However, there is no specific technique for sanctifying the path of Tao. It is merely to point out the several routes for it. How can Tao, the most mysterious power, be understood with mere words? It is only through the heavens and earth that a person can understand everything after experiencing enlightenment. Without enlightenment, hundreds of millions of years could have gone by and the person would still be lost. Yang Ming nodded in agreement. On top of Tianyuan Sea, Jiang Ming's clone paced mid-air, weaving through the vast sky, crossing voids, and it didn't take long for him to arrive outside of the Infinite Realms auction house. Brother Jiang, Ryu Changfeng cupped his hands. Brother Ryu, Jiang Ming smiled. As the other party bowed slightly, 2 futons appeared beside him. Yang Ming stepped up into the air and sat cross-legged on a futon. Brother Jiang, born of the mortal planar world, walking on the path of worlds Tao, yet to enter into the great overarching realm, but still managed to behead quasi-sage experts. Looking through infinite realms, you are also one of the small group of peerless talents standing at the pinnacle. As Ryu Changfeng said, he simply made a gesture, and a pot of tea suddenly appeared, suspended in mid-air. He then waved his sleeves. 2 crystal clear and flawless teacups appeared in the middle. As Jiang Ming looked over, his pupils could not help shrinking. Whether it was the teapot or the teacups, they were all carved from innate spiritual jades, which was extremely luxurious indeed. As soon as Ryu Changfeng raised his hand, a stream from the teapot split into 2 trickles pouring into the teacups. In an instant, 7 parts of the tea filled the tea canister, and the water in it started to ripple. As the clouds and mists rose, it conjured into a scene where he saw a jaded dragon circling around, a vermilion bird croaking, a white tiger majestically roaring, and a black tortoise roaming through. The scene suddenly changed as the 4 mythological beasts formed a 4-path formation array, which then collapsed and merged into the tea. This is the 4 manifestation spiritual tea I collected in a world that evolved naturally in the chaos. It's quite tasty. Please be my guest, Brother Jiang. Ryu Changfeng introduced the tea and didn't mind that the Jiang Ming that came forth was just a clone. After you. Jiang Ming was not reserved at all as he lifted the teacup and took a sip. Various flavors tingled through the tips of his tongue as the tea merged into all parts of the body, making even the clone more solid than before. The clone even had a tendency to transform into the original body itself. Such great tea! He couldn't help but show his admiration. If Brother Jiang likes the tea, I still have a lot of them. Take them as a gift. Ryu Changfeng took out a jar, waved it over to Jiang Ming and continued on the topic just now. I extracted the time-space imprint to look through the previous battle and found that Brother Jiang's special ability is the best of the Honggu heavenly realm and is of extraordinary inheritance. Sacrificial artifact judgment technique. I have half of the technique on my side. Such a technique of smelting 3,000 laws into one is timeless, and as excellent as it is, I am but not without it. However, Brother Jiang's smelting technique is extremely unique. Its power is unparalleled and the potential is endless. It should be that Brother Jiang comprehended the technique all by yourself. Good artifice, Jiang Ming exclaimed. In truth, Jiang Ming was really shocked. Looking at the past through the method of time-space imprint was although sky-edifying, but was not uncommon at all. However, the other party actually knew about the sacrificial artifact judgment technique and even saw through the smelting of 3,000 laws into one. It really made Jiang Ming feel like he has improved his vast knowledge. Good insight, Jiang Ming said indifferently. Brother Ryu, with your means and capabilities, you're still not able to collect the complete details on the sacrificial artifact judgment technique. The follow-up methods of evoking the technique can be deduced, but it's too time-consuming and labor-intensive. Such a feat is far from being a short span of hard work and is not worth the effort. Moreover, evoking this technique is too expensive. Ryu Kangfeng laughed. Brother Gang, would you be willing to sell it to me? Do you even collect items? Kang Ming asked curiously. Of course, Ryu Changfeng explained. The tenet of the Infinite Realm auction house is to communicate with each other among all realms, to buy low and sell high. In fact, collecting items is also our main purpose. I'm afraid that with your inheritance you will also know that our Infinite Realm auction house roams the Infinite Realms and conducts transactions, with the real purpose of obtaining the key of Infinite Realms, which is the fundamental method of our cultivation. You even revealed such details? Jiang Ming was even more surprised. It's not a secret to begin with, Ryu Changfeng said indifferently. If Brother Jiang has anything good, you can sell it to me. Of course, I also have the items that Brother Jiang needs here, such as the long river of innate vital essence, the chaos vital essence, the heart of the small chiliocosm, the heart of the middle chiliocosm, all kinds of great overarching Tao vessels, quasi-sage weapons, and etc. There are quite a number of good items. Aren't you afraid of being robbed? Jiang Ming gasped, but couldn't help saying. This person in front of him was really a filthy rich man. However, the other party had also really seen through his own details as well. Of course not. I'm not afraid if the Sage Venerate does not make a move. If the Sage Venerate does, I am even less afraid. Ryu Changfeng smiled confidently. Would you like to go inside and have a look first? Why are you inviting me alone? You are an auction house. Jiang Ming stood up. There are not many people in the Honggu Heavenly Realm that meet my eye. Only Brother Jiang, who has the greatest potential among all. You might even be a big customer of mine in the future. Naturally, I will have to establish a good relationship first. Ryu Changfeng laughed. The excellence and downfall of long-term customers also affects our own growth. This is your path of cultivation? You are correct. That's really weird. Haha. There are 3,000 types of DAOs where each is different, but their final destination is almost the same. Shall we? Lead the way. The two landed directly in front of the palace. Right when the door opened, a magnificent aura suddenly loomed over their faces, and Jiang Ming was moved by the vast, boundless ancient aura. Rui Changfeng flicked his finger and a ray of divine luminance exploded, transforming into immeasurable divine voice, merging into thousands of laws and dispersed into all directions of the Honggu Heavenly Realm. The Infinite Realm auction house will be opened in the Infinite Realm battlefield in a year's time. There will be quasi-sage weapons, supreme-grade spiritual roots, 9 incarnation pill, chaos vital essence, the method of the holy Tao, peerless special abilities, a ray formation that can trap even the sage venerates, the great overarching substitutions, and so on. This voice was integrated into the laws, and those who did not reach a certain level could not hear it at all. At the same time, streaks of divine luminance erupted from the palace, forming line after line of Taoist motifs, explaining the details of the auction such as how to trade and so on. The rays of light soared into the sky and spread throughout the Infinite Realm battlefield. Are you always so high profile? Yang Ming couldn't help but wonder. Of course, Ryu Changfeng pointed to the front and said as he walked, by advertising it you can attract more customers. As for those with ulterior motives, just killing them will do. You can even get a lot of good things for free. Jiang Ming couldn't help laughing. As he spoke, Ryu Changfeng led him into a gate of light, and as the stars shifted around, it seemed as if he had come to an endless starry sky. As his eyes narrowed, Jiang Ming took a deep breath. Right in front of him was a huge star. No, it was clearly transformed by the heart of a chiliocosm. There was a mighty long river on the left, flowing the innate immortal liquid, a meteor streaking across the sky that was clearly a spear that was a quasi-sage Tao vessel. On Chuyang Peak, this is obviously trying to lure me. Through the clone, Jiang Ming understood everything and couldn't help thinking, this guy, he knows that I need a lot of resources to support the way of the world's Tao. Is he allowing me to see his treasures first to try and make me complete the trade and to try probing on more details about myself? Deep in the abyss, many different forces of the heavenly realm had already forced their way into the place. This was an open and upright invasion, where they were even willing to let go of the grievances between each other and form an army of tacit understanding and push through together. After all, the abyss was equivalent to a quasi-great chiliocosm, and who knew how many great treasures were hidden in it. Moreover, based on the Heavenly Emperor's decree, it was a great trial for all, an upright plunder. The abyss could only fall back and resisted passively, as they were simply unable to resist the forceful invasion of all the forces of the heavenly realm. However, not long after the plunder began, there was a law of divine vibrational sound which turned into a voice of Taoism in their ears, saying, the Infinite Realm auction house will be opened a year later. Upon hearing that many good items, especially the ways of sanctifying a person's path towards the holy Tao, would be auctioned, many peerless experts were shocked to learn of such news in that instance. As such, the great trial of the Heavenly Emperor's decree became even more ferocious as everyone was plundering for wealth in the heavenly court. Infinite Realms Auction House. The great heavenly venerate had a solemn expression on his face. I didn't expect for it to descend into our realm again. Your Majesty, does this auction house really come from the chaos? Star-Lord Tai Bai was very surprised. He knew of the terror in the chaos. Once inside, it wouldn't matter whether one was a quasi-sage expert or a great heavenly venerate. Losing focus slightly would lead to the person being decimated by the violent chaos storm. If the chaos was not as dangerous as it was, those of the quasi-sage realm of the heavenly realm would have gone to seek for treasures in it long ago. The great heavenly venerate nodded. A long time ago, there was chaos throughout the heavens and earth, there was no order, and nothing but endless bloodshed, be it for power, for territory, for self-tempering, or for Tao improvement. For billions of years, there had been endless bloodbaths, yet there was still no one who was able to sanctify the way of Tao. It was not until the Infinite Realm Auction House descended and brought upon various great treasures and even the Guide of Tao. Only after that event did the Sage Venerate come into the world. The Honggu Heavenly Realm was brought into order and the Heavenly Court began its establishment. Great Heavenly Venerate frowned. With the Great Trial only just at its beginning, I fear that there will be some chaos happening. Troubled times lead to great opportunities, yet prosperity is the cause of chaos. Your Majesty, are you worried about the abyss? Star-Lord Teibai thought about the items promoted by the Infinite Realm Auction House and his brows twitched fiercely. We'll just wait and watch. The Great Heavenly Venerate did not answer. Inside the Infinite Realm Palace, Ryu Changfeng took Jiang Ming's clone for a tour of his treasury and said slowly while introducing the many treasures, longevity is relative. True immortality, however, seems to not exist at present. Birth, old age, sickness, and death are the true normal. The world has birth and death, so do the planar worlds, small chiliocosm, middle chiliocosm, great chiliocosm, and even the chaos. It's just that the bigger the world is, the longer the lifespan will be. Such a long lifespan causes people to become desperate and makes people want to transform themselves into Tao, such as the chaos. Chaos has life and death, but its life does not know of the year, and neither does its death. As such, the creatures born in it will have relative longevity or even eternal life. On the other hand, the lower the level of a world, the shorter the lifespan will be. Be that as it may, this is only relatively speaking. When a world reaches its limit naturally, however, it will generally be turned into Tao under the rules of the great Tao, returning to the origin of the world, and that the heart of the world would not be born at all. The birth of the heart of the world is usually under forced intervention, yet such a way would lead to the backlash from the terrifying powers of Tao. We'll just put aside the planar worlds, as an ordinary Tai golden immortal realm could have forcefully destroyed the world already. It wouldn't stand a chance against the backlash of the power of Tao. However, it is basically impossible to get the complete heart of the world through such a method of forced destruction. If it wasn't planned and arranged accordingly, it would be difficult to obtain even an incomplete one. Harini says, a complete heart of the world is obtained by condensing and refining the entire world, returning it back into its original origin and transforming it into the mysterious yellow maternal womb of origin. The world's heart in such a state could not be achieved by even a quasi-sage expert, and to top it off, it is only aimed at the planar world, not to mention the hearts of small chiliocosm or middle chiliocosm. As such, the hearts of the world are all imperfect. There are many hearts of the planar worlds, but there are very few hearts of small chiliocosm. Even after proper preparation and destroying hundreds of small chiliocosm, we actually may not be able to give birth to one heart of the world. It's just too difficult. As for the middle chiliocosms, if it's a quasi-sage's plan to destroy the world and return it to its original origin, I am afraid that the Tao backlash will turn the world into ashes, annihilating it in an instant. Therefore, the heart of the middle chiliocosm is very rare. As for the heart of the great chiliocosm, if you look at the chaos, it is extremely rare. If a heart of the great chiliocosm really appears, its worth would be comparable to that of the chaos. I have 3 hearts of the small chiliocosms and 1 heart of the middle chiliocosms. As Ryu Changfeng said, he stretched out his hand and grabbed. A big sun burning with raging flames could be seen flying towards them from the depths of the starry sky. As it got closer, it shrank quickly and turned into a divine embryo with boundless divine luminance or abundance power of creation. By only slightly sensing the divine embryo, the surging vitality contained in it would have moved anyone and left them in shock. This is the heart of a middle chiliocosm. However, it is too broken unfortunately and is only equivalent to 1,000th of the origin of the middle chiliocosm. However, its essence remains unchanged, Ryu Changfeng said with a smile. For the quasi-sages, especially those at the pinnacle, these are all rare treasures to them. However, for the peerless experts who follow the path of the world Tao, its value is comparable to the sage artifact. No, even the holy artifact couldn't even compare to it. Brother Ryu, you are really tempting me to rob you. Jiang Ming laughed. Brother Jiang is an upright gentleman. What's more, you are the host whereas I am a guest. Why would a host rob his guests? Ryu Changfeng smiled, giving others a feeling as though their faces were caressed by the spring breeze, and he continued. As we all know, in the chaos the world Tao is the most difficult one, but its combat power is extremely powerful. He paused for a while and continued, for the world Tao, it is not difficult to give birth to a planar world, and not too difficult to even ascend into the small chiliocosm. But upon reaching the limits of the small chiliocosm, further improvement is harder than stepping into the sage realm directly from the heavenly immortal realm through enlightenment. Is it that difficult? Jiang Ming was surprised. He had heard Dongfang Chenxi mentioned it before. Although it was difficult, it seemed that it was not as difficult as what Ryu Changfeng was saying now. It was totally impossible for one to step into the sage realm directly from the heavenly immortal realm. Therefore, this metaphor gave Jiang Ming the feeling of pure despair. Of course it's that difficult. Otherwise, those people cultivating the world Tao would have been easily seen roaming around already. After all, one just has to ensure that his inner world keeps improving. Ryu Changfeng said with a smile. Previously in a period of time, there were many people who followed this path, and they were all geniuses. However, the result was that many stopped at the planar world stage, and the rest were all stopped at the small chiliocosm stage, no longer able to advance an inch. Or rather, they were able to comprehend some Tai laws at most, and that was all. Over time, fewer and fewer people took this path. However, there are also successful ones, but most of them stopped at only the middle chiliocosm stage. Jiang Ming frowned. Once a person reaches the extreme state of the small chiliocosm, couldn't he comprehend the 3,000 Tai laws and improve the chiliocosm from the outside in? By accumulating the foundation inside and strengthening the power of origin, such integration from the inside and outside would have made it easy to enter the middle chiliocosm, wouldn't it? These are just the assumptions of some people in the great chiliocosms who have gotten their hands on world Tao cultivation. Ryu Changfeng smiled strangely. If it is really that simple, why are there so few people who walk the path of world Tao? After all, if a quasi-sage can nurture disciples cultivating world Tao, what's more the sage venerate? Jiang Ming's heart skipped a beat as he thought of Dongfang Chenxi again. When the inner world has evolved into the middle chiliocosm, and upon reaching its perfection, its origin is equivalent to that of the sage realm. Ryu Changfeng said, which means that once the inner world enters the middle chiliocosm level, you can directly reach the sage realm. In the general great chiliocosm, this is the highest combat power already. Brother Jiang, do you think that the small chiliocosm can complete the transition so easily? If that's the case, I'm afraid there would have been countless people who followed the world Tao already. Jiang Ming smiled bitterly. The inner world could evolve on its own and even enhance its own origin. All it needed was time, and time was not a matter for cultivators. A period of time as long as 100 billion years was merely a trivial matter. Take the previous Bi Chen-shing for example. He had been cultivating for no less than hundreds of billions of years already. That's the principle behind it. Ryu Changfeng nodded. There used to be a lot of people refining countless rare artifacts and accumulated their origins when they were in the pinnacle of the small chiliocosm and at the same time comprehended the 3,000 Tai laws. They thought they could break through the integration of the foundation inside and outside harmoniously, but none of them succeeded. In fact, there wasn't one or two people, but many of them who basically ended up stopping at this level. Some tried to forcibly break through. As a result, they ended up dying as their souls were annihilated. Their inner world collapsed, and the accumulation of hundreds of millions of years were wiped out in vain. Aren't there those who have succeeded? What was the reason behind their success? Jiang Ming asked, followed by shaking his head quickly. Sorry, I've crossed the line. Such a question regarding enlightenments caused him to somewhat lose his sense of proportion. Although this is a great secret, with Brother Jiang's talent you should be able to guess it. Rui Changfeng still smiled. There are many experts who speculated that this barricade is a test of Tao, the soul and will. It is also a Tao calamity, and even more of a confinement. Although the person didn't reveal the specific reason for it, there is also a general assumption that many have agreed upon. Brother Jiang, would you like to take a guess? Spiritual will, Jiang Ming said without hesitation. In the Supreme Pagoda, what was originally tested was a person's combat power, will, and comprehensive ability. Upon entering the Supreme Tower of Immortal Realm, the main test was on combat power and will. Combat power was not of much use for a person's cultivation breakthrough and could also be improved through grinding and training. As for the will, though a person's will could be honed through training, it was too difficult. In fact, the reason why Jun Sanqian's attitude towards him kept changing was also because his own spiritual will had been strengthened to a level beyond common sense. The power of the inner world is too powerful. With 3,000 laws constructing the world, creating great fortunes, promoting the cycles of reincarnation, and even nurturing of lives, the inner world has formed a perfect cycle for itself and could even produce the power of heaven and earth by itself. How can a person take hold of such a power without an extremely strong will of the soul? How could they bear such power? Jiang Ming muttered again. Clap. Rui Changfeng clapped and praised. As expected of Brother Jiang. Such greatness, your speculations are completely correct. There are three aspects of the evolution of the small chiliocosm. External comprehension of the 3,000 Tai laws to promote the evolution, internal accumulation of dense origin to bear the evolution, and also to possess a will of eternal perseverance to take total control of the evolution. It is through all three of these aspects that the transformation and sublimation can be completed. Thank you for pointing them out too. Jiang Ming cupped his hands to show gratitude and smiled. Brother Ryu, your way of promoting business is really unusual. Haha, Ryu Changfeng couldn't help laughing. The reason he said so much just now was to make good friends with Jiang Ming on one hand and to do business on the other hand as well. Jiang Ming naturally saw through it. Ryu Changfeng's objective was simple, to sell the heart of the middle chiliocosm. I don't understand, Brother Ryu. Do I look like someone who can afford a treasure like that? Jiang Ming asked incredulously. The value for the heart of the middle chiliocosm was immense, except for the untouchable human paths record, the Saint Province Dao Square, and the Supreme Pagoda, which seemed to be of great value but actually was not. Other items were normal. As for the quasi-sage weapons, they were precious and irreplaceable. It takes me a great effort to come here, and whenever I come I would only deal with clients who have the greatest potential. Ryu Changfeng said, I came here this time because I had received a sign. I know I would come across someone who would be a great help to me in my future this time. And when I saw you, Brother Jiang, I knew my hunch was right. I always believe that if I treat people with sincerity, others will treat me back the same way as well. Therefore, everything I'm telling you is the truth, Brother Jiang. The cultivation method of our auction house is special. When we reach a certain point in our cultivation, we will need the support from something known as cosmic energy. This is the reason the auction house was established in the first place, to collect cosmic energy, and thus all of us are equipped with some special abilities. I can sense plenty of cosmic energy from you, Brother Jiang. For us, the more items of different worlds we acquire, the higher the quality, the more valuable they are. Of course, I see that you have the sacrificial artifact judgment and the special technique that could merge all 3,000 laws. Besides, I have faith that you can upgrade your inner world to the middle chiliocosm. No matter how I see it, you're my best client, Ryu Changfeng said with sincerity. Middle chiliocosm? I don't even know if I can reach that stage. I don't know why you have so much faith in me. Jiang Ming laughed bitterly. He knew Ryu Changfeng was just being polite, so he did not take his words seriously. After all, no matter how sincere he was, it could not change the fact that Ryu Changfeng was a businessman, and a businessman would never invest in something that was unprofitable. Don't look down on yourself, Brother Jiang. There is a chance that you may evolve your inner world into a great chiliocosm someday in the future, Ryu Changfeng said as he pointed at the heart of the middle chiliocosm. Anyway, back to the business. Do you want to take it? It can boost the origin force of your inner world as well as save you tons of time. It can also aid you in comprehending the 3,000 Tai Dao as well as speed up the evolution of your inner world. With one world's heart, it's going to save you billions of years of time. Not only that, but it can also act as a catalyst for the evolution of your inner world. Alright, I'll take it. Jiang Ming replied without any hesitation. There is a force that can come to this world easily. If you guys need cosmic energy that bad, why don't you work with them instead? Wouldn't it make your life easier? You're talking about the Lord God's space and the reincarnation hall? Although Jiang Ming did not explicitly mention them, Ryu Changfeng knew what he was talking about. Due to some reasons, I can't talk too much about them. All I can say is that descending from the depths of endless space and time comes at a price. Take me as an example. I can't simply come here and go as I wish. Every time I come here I need to get something back. If not, the cost will be tremendous. Besides, we need to follow a certain set of rules if we want to come here. We can't just come here whenever we want. If not, there will be bad consequences. So in other words, someone has set up rules and you guys have to follow them, Jiang Ming said. Bingo. Ryu Changfeng nodded. Then, he told him the way they trade in the auction house. In general, they traded with immortal crystals. As a VIP, I'll give you a special price. Ryu Changfeng grabbed something in the air and in the next second the world's heart appeared on his palm and transformed into a fist-sized immortal fetus that beat like a heart. A quasi-sage weapon might be very precious for a world, but for someone like me that could travel across different worlds, it's nothing special. I want 5 quasi-sage weapons, all from different worlds. This is the fairest price I can offer you. After all, it's a rare item, and a rare item is priceless. You call this fair price? Jiang Ming had the urge to beat him up. Dim it, he wants 5 quasi-save weapons and all of them need to come from different worlds? Is he kidding me? Of course it is, Ryu Changfeng said with a grin. There's a probability that the heavenly emperor of your world wouldn't get one world's heart after he destroys all the great chiliocosm. Besides, the recoil damage of destroying a great chiliocosm isn't something that everyone could handle. This is the most terrifying aspect of the heart of the great chiliocosms. I have a friend and he sold it for 12 quasi-sage weapons. No one will buy it from you here, Jiang Ming said. I know, that's why I came for you, Ryu Changfeng replied matter-of-factly. But it's 5 quasi-sage weapons. Jiang Ming still found it hard to believe, and a thought flitted across his head. He pointed at the treasures and asked, "Can I exchange with Dao vessels?" "Of course you can. I accept other things like spiritual roots or immortal roots as well. The more variety you have from different worlds, the greater the value will be. Some of their value can even become double of their original value," Ryu Changfeng said as his eyes glowed. "In that case, maybe you found the right person," Jiang Ming laughed. "We can trade, but I hope you have enough items to trade with me. I can't guarantee anything, but it should be enough for you to evolve your inner world to the next stage." Ryu Changfeng's eyes grew even brighter on Shuyang Peak. A smile broke across Jiang Ming's face after he learned everything through his clone. Items from different worlds, huh? It might be impossible for other people, but it was an easy task for him. It was just that he needed to come up with a plan since he needed to get high-quality items. Mountain Master Tian Yuan was still telling him about the various forces in the Honggu realm. The Heavenly Court was the strongest amongst them, and there were many middle chiliocosms under it. Other than that, it was the Abyss, the Foe sect, the Dragon race, and the Devil race, to name a few. Of course, the overall combat prowess of the human race is great, but unfortunately, they're like a plate of loose sand, Mountain Master Tian Yuan lamented. For example, half of the disciples of the Foe sect are from the human race. The only difference is that they become a Buddha first before becoming human. As for the human devil in the abyss, most of them have regarded themselves as demons instead of humans. There are also many different human sects and clans scattering across different parts of the heavenly realm. All of them operate in self-contained compartments, and some of them even fight against each other for territory. They were like a plate of loose sand, and they refused to unite as one. If not, the heavenly court. He paused for a moment and shook his head. If not, those human experts would have been exterminated a long time ago. Jiang Ming chimed in. The human race makes up the foundation of several different forces, so of course they wouldn't let humans unite and become strong. Yeah, you're right. Mountain Master Tian Yuan smiled bitterly. In the past, all I ever cared about was cultivation. I didn't care what was going on around me at all. It's only now that I realize the reason why we humans are in an awkward position despite having occupied nearly every corner of the universe. It's because of them. They don't want us to be stronger. They want us to be a plate of loose sand instead of working together as one. If all humans united and formed into a force, even the great heavenly venerate couldn't sit still. I have heard that in ancient times, a sage once founded the Hall of the Human Emperor. His intention was to make humans rise to the top of the world and dominate all the universe. However, before he could realize his dream, he went missing. We tried to look for him, but we didn't find anything useful. Now that I think about it, I guess he must have been killed by someone. Mountain Master Tian Yuan said, "Heavenly generals, Buddhas, demons, human devil. We humans can become anything we want to be." Jiang Ming chuckled. "You don't have to be so pessimistic, brother." Looking from another angle, does this not mean that we humans have infiltrated into different forces? This is the true meaning of spreading across every side of the universe. Mountain Master Tian Yuan did not know what to say. Both of them talked and chatted away. Most of the time it was Mountain Master Tian Yuan who told Jiang Ming about his days in the heavenly realm, as well as some of the secrets about it, and Jiang Ming finally had a better understanding about the heavenly realm. Afterward, Jiang Ming went into the kitchen and whipped up some food. "I can't believe that you still have the appetite to eat at a moment like this," Mountain Master Tian Yuan said as he looked at the bowl of noodles in front of him. "Well, it's a good thing as well." He picked up the chopsticks and began eating the noodles. "It has been such a long time since I last ate something," Mountain Master Tian Yuan said, his voice hoarse and filled with emotion. "If you like it, I can make some more for you." "Really? Of course. That's great." Mountain Master Tian Yuan decided to stay and protect the Tian Yuan realm. Both of them would use their special abilities to look into the Abyss from time to time. The Abyss will suffer great loss after the Great Abyss trial. Now that the Infinite Realm auction house has descended, in order to get more benefits as well as prepare for the auction, this time more people will die and the Abyss is going to suffer an even greater loss. Mountain Master Tian Yuan said, "There's a possibility that the great heavenly venerate would seize the chance and wipe out the Abyss for good. Is it possible?" Jiang Ming shook his head. "I don't think so. The Abyss has existed since ancient times. I doubt they would just go down like that without putting up a fight. It all depends on the great heavenly venerate. If he really is hell-bent on destroying the Abyss, he can do it. But the problem is, will he do it? Honestly, I can't tell either. If he doesn't do anything, he's still able to intimidate the Abyss through his influence. But if he does something and suffers some injuries, things would develop in a different direction." "Yeah," Jiang Ming nodded. "Once the great heavenly venerate suffered some injuries, many forces would work together and pull him down from his throne." With that thought in mind, Jiang Ming flipped through the Human Path's record to check on Ghost-Faced Demon Venerate as well as the situation in the Abyss. Then, he lifted his eyebrows. "They're rallying a group of demons to attack me? Damn, I'm glad I checked on him. Otherwise, with those demon venerates, many people in the Tianyuan realm would die. Ha, wanna kill me? A glint of darkness crossed Jiang Ming's eyes. Name, Ghost-Faced Demon Venerate. Status, after he had escaped death, evil-hearted Demon Venerate brought him back to the abyss. Under the assistance of several Demon Venerates, he had healed most of his injuries. Right now, he was discussing with other Demon Venerates the way to counter the Great Abyss as well as the Infinite Realm auction house that appeared out of nowhere. He suggested that they should destroy the Tianyuan realm and kill Jiang Ming first. He gave 3 reasons to back up with his suggestion. Firstly, Jiang Ming had killed 2 demon venerates, so they had to avenge the death of their fallen comrades. If they killed Jiang Ming, not only would they be able to raise the morale of the abyss, but it could also act as a warning for those forces from the heavenly realm that they were not pushovers. Secondly, there was a great secret inside the Tianyuan realm, and it was a huge probability that it was related to the Holy Tao. If they could get it, the overall combat prowess of the abyss would increase by leaps and bounds. Thirdly, Jiang Ming might be able to get a ton of Tao vessels from the Infinite Realm auction house, and it would be too late to kill him by then. He suggested that they should send 4 demon venerates and kill Jiang Ming before it was too late. A hint of coldness flashed across Jiang Ming's eyes. After Mountain Master Tian Yuan had returned to his own house, Jiang Ming withdrew his gaze. There was an invisible force field enveloping the balcony. Want to kill me? Let me give you all a big gift first. I wonder if you can take it or not. He sat on the rattan chair and checked the status of evil-hearted Demon Venerate and the Blood Emperor through the Human Path's record. He lifted his eyebrows in surprise when he saw the Blood Emperor's status. The Blood Emperor was the new supporter that Shu Tao Demon Lord had found. He was a great overarching expert, and he was very famous in the Abyss. He also had the potential to become the Demon Venerate in the future. At this moment, he was located in the direction about 10 million miles away from Ghostface Demon Venerate. 10 million miles? That's too close. As for Ghostface Demon Venerate, he was with evil-hearted Demon Venerate right now. Ha! Jiang Ming scoffed inwardly as he summoned a clone beside him. At the same time, he also took a jade amulet out. Senior brother, you're going to do that again? Phoenix Linglong asked as she threw herself on him. This is so exciting, I can't wait to see it anymore. I'm not doing anything to you, so what's there to be so excited about? Yang Ming asked as he wrapped his arms around her. Now that you mentioned it, why don't we have another blood and fire showdown on the balcony? You'll burn yourself to death. I'm more than happy to get burned to death. Hands off. Ouch, you're hurting me. Jiang Ming shouted angrily. He pulled out the heavenly baton and flew into the sky. Very soon he had arrived at the heavenly southern gate. At this moment the clone took the jade amulet and went into the Human Path's record. Using the locate function he went to the designated location. Jiang Ming shuddered as he could feel his power was being drained away. How fast, senior brother? Is this the best you can do? Jiang Ming was speechless. At the deepest part of the abyss, there was a mountain of about 720,000 feet tall that seemed to have reached the sky. It was massive and it was exuding a brilliant light. On top of the peak sat a magnificent palace, which for billions of years had emitted a blood-colored glow, coloring the sky and ground in blood red. Inside the palace, the meeting chamber, it looked like deep space here with a dozen stars circling around. 6 of them were emitting light, and there were huge figures sitting on them. 2 of them were none other than Ghost-Faced Demon Venerate and Evil-Hearted Demon Venerate. Are you sure it's necessary for all of us to go after a small human cultivator? A Demon Venerate asked, his voice booming. If those old things from the heavenly realm know about it, they will laugh at us. Hong Luo is dead. Thousand-Handed is dead, and Ghost-Faced was nearly killed. Evil-Hearted Demon Venerate said with a heavy voice. Of course we need to take him seriously. That kid cultivates the legendary world Tao. Not only that, but he has also mastered all 3,000 laws, so we mustn't take him lightly. He's in the golden immortal extreme realm right now, and it would be too late if his inner world evolves again. Right now, his immortal origin is almost on the same level as most of us here. Not to mention that he could detonate great overarching Tao vessels to unleash a powerful attack on his enemy. Do you have any idea how many Tao vessels he has detonated in the previous fight? 10 of them. And he wasn't affected by the recoil damage from detonating in the slightest bit. Who could survive if he were to detonate 10 great overarching Tao vessels at the same time? You or me? I'm afraid even the great heavenly venerate himself couldn't survive against an attack of that magnitude. Besides, although the Tianyuan realm doesn't look like it, it's a sage venerate's Tao square. I think it won't take long before he's fully healed from the injuries he sustained from the fight. Now that the Infinite Realm auction house has descended, who could or who has the guts to stop him if he gets some great overarching Tao vessels from them? Besides, what if he has another breakthrough? We're his enemies, and if we don't seize the chance and kill him right now, forget about the great heavenly venerate, I'm sure he'll kill us all first. Gentlemen, he's a monster. Have you guys forgotten about what happened to Kun Peng and his son? Despite him being an ancient being, he killed both his son and him without any remorse. Also, humans might seem weak on the surface, there are a lot of them, Now that he is on the rise and with Mountain Master Tian Yuan on his side, I'm sure more and more people will join his cause in the future. Once he becomes the leader of the humans, he's going to become a bigger threat than the Great Heavenly Venerate. After all, the Great Heavenly Venerate has to maintain the balance. Even if he has the ability to wipe us out, he wouldn't do it as well. Guys, that's all I have to say. Let's cast our vote now. Evil-hearted Demon Venerate had analyzed the situation thoroughly. As for the Great Abyss trial, they did not really care about it. As long as the Great Heavenly Venerate did not come, there shouldn't be any trouble. Suddenly, all of them jerked up from their seats and there was a shocked expression on their face. They all hastily came out of the meeting hall. When they lifted their heads and looked upward, their faces turned pale. There was a palace 10 million miles away. The Blood Emperor was drinking wine with his arm around a lust demon. There was a group of dancers in revealing clothes in front of him, but his gaze was calm and his face was stern. He was terrified when he saw the death of Kun Peng and Demon Venerates at Jiang Ming's hand. After evil-hearted Demon Venerate took ghost-faced Demon Venerate away, he ran and came back to the Abyss. He did not dare to stay in the Infinite Realm battlefield anymore. I didn't expect that the Great Heavenly Venerate would open up the Great Abyss trial. The Blood Emperor shuddered when the thought flitted across his head. He knew exactly what would happen afterward. Many demons in the Abyss would die. Demon lords, demon kings, and even demon emperors would be killed. The reason he came here right after he had returned to the Abyss was to hide. He decided to stay here until the Great Abyss trial was over. Sigh, why are there so many things happening at the same time? The Blood Emperor sighed. Suddenly he felt a chill creep down his spine. He jerked his head to the side and saw there was a man standing beside him. How is this possible? He shouted in surprise. This palace was a powerful demonic vessel. He would know about it even if a demon venerate came in. But now, oh no! Before he could do anything, he saw the man stretch his finger at him. At that moment, space froze and time stopped. Just when the Blood Emperor tried to break himself free from the restraint, the finger had already pierced through his forehead. The Blood Emperor was dead. The person was none other than Jiang Ming's clone. He located the Blood Emperor's location through the Human Path's record and came to kill him first. He glanced at the female demons in the palace and his eyebrows twitched. Even though Jiang Ming was looking at them through the clone, he could feel a bolt of heat shot up from his lower abdomen to his brain. Even if they just stand there and do nothing, they could easily seduce one's mind. It's no wonder that Mountain Master Tian Yuan told me that some of the people in the heavenly realm like to keep some female demons. With that thought in his mind, he activated the Great Catastrophes technique and wiped out all the female demons here. After that, he flew into the sky and turned to look at the palace where Ghostface, Demon Venerate, and the others were at. Without any hesitation, he activated the Jade Amulet in his hand. In a blink of an eye, an immense power poured forward and turned into a yellow hand. At the same time, it triggered the endless power of order in the universe. The mountains within hundreds of millions of kilometers collapsed and billions of demons vaporized instantly. The ground sank, and the hand descended on the palace in the distance. Ghost-faced Demon Venerate and the others were discussing what they should do about Jiang Ming when they sensed the commotion outside. When they came out of the meeting hall, the first thing that came into their vision was the big hand that was dropping on them. "That's the Heavenly Emperor's hand of heaven!" Evil-hearted Demon Venerate shouted. "Qian Yang, you vile man! As the Heavenly Emperor as well as the Great Heavenly Venerate, how could you step forward and attack us? Not only that, but you've used such a powerful skill on us. Guys, let's work together and hold it back. If not, all of us are going to die here today." The Great Demon Venerate, "Hurry up and come out to save us!" Evil-hearted Demon Venerate shouted in despair. Bam! The hand of heaven fell on them and sent all 6 demon venerates into the ground. The demonic palace that symbolized the ruler of the Abyss collapsed, and the billions of formations were shattered. The other experts from the Abyss that lived on the mountain couldn't escape their fates and got buried deep into the ground as well. What was even more terrifying was that there was a hole showing the other side of the void in the deepest part as well as the hardest part of the Abyss. The Abyss had been punctured. In the imperial garden of the heavenly court, it was filled with an iridescent immortal light to the brim, and one would feel like they were walking in a dream world if they were here. There were advanced grade spiritual grasses or high grade spiritual roots everywhere. The river that wound through the garden was the purest immortal fluid. The Great Heavenly Venerate was taking a stroll in the garden, but he seemed distracted. He was thinking about the changes after the Great Abyss trial as well as the influence of the appearance of the Infinite Realm auction house. "Tiabai, do you think the Great Demon Venerate would kill his wife after he comes out of his training?" the Great Heavenly Venerate asked. He plucked a flower and put it near his nose. As the flowery fragrance tickled his nostrils, his tensed nerves relaxed a bit. Star-Lord Taibai was stunned at the question for a moment before replying with a smile. "Your Majesty, there's no man in this world who can tolerate something like that. However, his wife is kind of special, so even if he wants to kill her, it's very unlikely that he would do it. After all, she was the disciple of the Saint Demon. She maintains a good relationship with a few ancient beings in the Abyss, not to mention that she's pretty powerful herself. Looking from the greater picture, he shouldn't kill her. But emotionally speaking, even I would look down on him if he doesn't kill her. The great heavenly venerate blew the flower away and stood with his hands behind his back. Not only is he a man, but he's the first person in the abyss. He can be forgiven if he doesn't know his wife has been cheating on him, but now that the news is spreading all over the place, he'll become the laughingstock of the abyss. He'll even develop a heart demon, and that will be interesting. We don't have to worry about anything even if the great demon venerate develops a heart demon, Star-Lord Tabai said, but I'm afraid all of the venerates are waiting for him to come out of his seclusion. They're waiting to see his reaction. After all, for those old guys, they wouldn't have an interesting event like this every day. Ha ha ha. The great heavenly venerate laughed, and then he froze. A surprised expression crawled upon his face as he disappeared in the next second. What? Star-Lord Tabai's eyes grew wide as his face set in a horrified expression. This is the power of the Holy Tao. How can there be such a terrifying power in the world nowadays? Hold on for a second. This isn't right. His face turned pale as if he had seen a ghost. In the next, he disappeared from the garden and came to the great heavenly venerate's side. Right now, both of them were standing under the sky. The world monitoring mirror was hovering in front of the great heavenly venerate. It emitted a blinding light and it was showing the things happening in the abyss. This is the deepest part of the abyss, and it has been punctured. Star-Lord Tabai shuddered and his face turned pale. Your Majesty, that thing we sensed just now, it seems to contain the power from the heavenly court. The great heavenly venerate's face was dark. It's a peerless special ability I developed. Once cast, it will draw power from the heavenly court to deliver a powerful attack on its target. But how would it appear in the abyss? He had never told anyone about the hand of heaven after he had developed it. He treated it as his trump card, and yet someone had cast it upon the abyss. How is that possible? Star-Lord Tabai was shocked. After a short while, the great heavenly venerate closed his eyes and said, Ghost-faced demon venerate, Tianyuan demon venerate, and Black Fox demon venerate are dead. Their existence has been completely wiped out from the universe. They can't come back anymore. Tabai, why would an attack like that appear in the abyss? How did 3 demon venerates die? Who struck them? What is his purpose? What will happen next? Your Majesty, Star-Lord Tabai stammered. He did not even need to think deeply and he already knew what would happen next. This definitely would have a much greater impact than the one caused by the Great Abyss trial. He took a deep breath, braced himself, and asked, Your Majesty, are you sure this is the special ability that you developed? And are you sure you're the only one who knows this special ability? I'm very sure of it. The great heavenly venerate nodded. Who can do this? Saint Lord? I'm afraid not even a Saint Lord can do that either. Star-Lord Tabai had already calmed himself down. The fire of wisdom flared in his eyes as he began to analyze the situation. There can only be one explanation. Someone has learned the special ability as well. The great heavenly venerate did not say anything. Star-Lord Tabai continued, I'm sure the reason he did so is to kill the demon, but I didn't expect that 3 demon venerates would die from that attack. Under the Great Abyss trial, the Battle of the Infinite Realms battlefield, and the appearance of the Infinite Realm auction house, they gathered up to discuss countermeasures. That's why that person could kill 3 of them at once. No matter who he is and where he comes from, he is an enemy of the Abyss. But if he's really that powerful, he wouldn't have just stopped there. He should be planning his second strike, and if he doesn't, things will turn bad. As Star-Lord Tabai was talking, he saw a burly young man with purple and gold horns on his head appeared in the world monitoring mirror. He seemed to have sensed them and raised his head to look at them, his gaze cold and filled with rage. Qin Yang, how dare you? Do you really think the Abyss is a pushover and that you can do whatever you want here? The young man shouted. In the next second, 2 divine lights shot out of his eyes and the world monitoring mirror blurred, preventing them from knowing what was happening on the other side. Then, a voice pierced through the layers of space and came into their head. Qin Yang, just you wait. The great demon venerate is here, Star-Lord Tabai exclaimed. It seems that he wasn't affected by the attack and that person who launched the attack was gone. Your Majesty, this is bad. The great heavenly venerate did not say anything. Star-Lord Tabai continued. That attack contains the power of the heavenly court. This clearly tells the people that this is something that only a venerable immortal who controls the power of the heavenly court can deliver. Your Majesty, someone wants to make you their scapegoat. Although you're in the heavenly court and we can be your witness, no one will believe in you. After all, you can form a clone to attack the Abyss? Your Majesty, if everything I said is the truth, then I'm afraid the person must be someone extraordinarily powerful. After all, he can cast the special ability that you have never told anyone about. I can't think of any other better explanation if this isn't a conspiracy. If everything is just like what I said and he's trying to make you his scapegoat, then his intention is to trigger the hatred of the Abyss as well as to intimidate other great monarchs in the heavenly realm. After all, no one wants to see you going all out. I'm sure the great demon venerate would be coming for us. When that happens, Lord Buddha, Lord Dragon, and Star-Lord Tabai came to an abrupt stop before he could finish his sentence. Goal, purpose. The great heavenly venerate closed his eyes. Goal, Star-Lord Taibai was stumped. After a short while, he said, "There shouldn't be a great monarch like this in this universe under the heavenly court. Most likely he is from the Infinite Realm Auction House, or just like the Infinite Realm Auction House, he comes from an unknown world, and his goal is to bring the heavenly court down and throw the world into chaos." The great heavenly venerate laughed. Even if he has a powerful special ability, the fact that he resorts to a petty trick like this means he's not confident. Besides, there's no one who can defeat me other than the Saint Lord. The land of ultimate bliss of the Fo sect. It was filled with the light of Buddha all year round here. Those who stood in the Buddha light would open their hearts, cast away their obsessions and dark thoughts. They would eventually lay down in a prostrate position and said with a compassionate smile, Amitabha. At this moment, a golden lotus platform appeared. There was a Buddha with drooping ears sitting on top of it, and he was looking toward the abyss. Someone has punctured the abyss in one strike. Is that the power of the heavenly court? Does this mean that it's the great heavenly venerate's doing? But why would he do something like this when the great abyss trial has been activated? Is it because he's worried that the great demon venerate would get something from the Infinite Realm Auction House? No. The great demon venerate survives the attack, so is he intimidating us? There is no need for any of it at all. This is strange. Anyway, regardless of his intention, the great heavenly venerate is too powerful. And now with the abyss sustaining such a great loss, I'm sure the great demon venerate would not just sit idly and do nothing. Various thoughts flitted across Lord Buddha's head. He then closed his eyes and contacted other ancient beings such as Lord Dragon. Chuyang Peak. A shocking expression appeared on Jiang Ming's face when his clone returned. "The hand of heaven is powerful," he mumbled. "Senior brother, your hand is more powerful than the hand of heaven." "Senior brother, what happened to your hand? It has become bigger." Phoenix Linglong had a lot of confidence in her senior brother. She knew more than anyone else how powerful his hands were. His junior sister never had enough, but there was nothing he could do. After all, he was a man, and he had to satisfy his junior sister. Looking at his junior sister who was lying next to him like a little kitten, he let out a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a thought appeared in his head. What if I ask her to transform into a phoenix next time? Jiang Ming's eyes glowed and his heart began to beat wildly. He forced himself to calm down, and then he thought about the Heavenly Emperor's strongest special ability he cast in the abyss after using the Jade Amulet. He flipped through the Human Path's record to check on the condition of the 6 demon venerates. 3 of them were dead, including Ghostface Demon Venerated. Even though evil-hearted Demon Venerate survived the attack, he was not in a good shape either. In his status, he even stated that the attack had reached the power of the Sage Realm. Sage Realm, huh? Yang Ming fell into contemplation. It was just the raw power of the special ability. He had not used any formation or quasi-sage weapon to boost up its power yet. He couldn't imagine how powerful the special ability would be if it was the Heavenly Emperor who cast it. Even with the help of the St. Province Dao Square, I'm afraid not even I can take on an attack like that from him as well. Even if he can't kill me, he can seal me away. Even if I can run away through the Supreme Pagoda, what should I do afterward? Yang Ming came to a conclusion. He should not go against the Heavenly Emperor, the Great Demon Venerate, or other ancient beings such as Lord Buddha for the time being. I'm too weak. Jiang Ming sighed. Suddenly, he sensed something and lifted his head to look at the direction of the Infinite Realm Auction House. There was a 9-headed bird fluttering its wings next to the auction house. The bird then wrapped itself up in its massive wings and turned into a young man. He looked at the Infinite Realm Auction House and snorted coldly. They're auctioning quasi-sage weapons and sanctification of the holy law? What high-sounding sentiments. Very well then. Let me test and see if you have what it takes to do that or not. With that, he lifted his hand and grabbed something in the air. The void collapsed as he tried to shrink the massive auction palace and bring it away. However, the palace remained unbudged. Even the sea around it was calm. How is that possible? The young man's pupils constricted as a surprised expression appeared on his face. Ryu Changfeng emerged from the palace. There was a gentle smile on his face, and judging from the arc of his smile, Jiang Ming knew that he must be in a great mood right now. I'm Baiju, an elder from the Demon Holy Palace. Haha. I'm just joking with you, brother Ryu. I hope you won't mind it, Baiju said. Gone was the arrogant young man who wanted to test the strength of the Infinite Realm Auction House. The dark expression had dissolved from his face and there was an amicable smile there right now. He looked just like an old friend of Ryu Changfeng as he said, Brother Ryu, I have to go now. See you next time. With that, he transformed back to the 9-headed bird and flew away. However, before he could let out a sigh of relief, a fearful expression crawled upon his face. There was a hand in front of him, and no matter how hard he struggled, he could not stop himself from flying toward the hand. In the end, the hand grabbed him. The young man lifted 9 of his heads and looked at the massive face in front of him. He was none other than Ryu Changfeng. He tried to say something, but only the squeaking of birds came out of his beak. 9-headed bird? Today must be my lucky day. Ryu Changfeng observed the 9-headed bird that he caught with his special ability. The nine-headed bird was at the quasi-sage realm, and Ryu Changfeng nodded in satisfaction. He then lifted his head and looked around him. I'm a traveler of space and time, the representative of the Infinite Realm Auction House. I come here for only one reason, to trade. I have a few rules of mine. I will not participate in any disputes. I will not take the initiative to cause trouble, and I do not care about good and evil. All I care about is my auction house, and you all can treat me as a guest from a distant land. However, if any one of you dare to cause me any troubles like this Baiju or want to take the auction house from me, then please forgive me. Once you fall into my hands, you will become my belonging. Don't beg for mercy, and don't try to reason with me. It's useless. Of course you can try to take someone away from me by force. I don't really care about it. As for this beast, I don't have the intention of taking it away since it belongs to this world. I'll enslave him and control his mind with an item. After that, he'll become the most loyal slave that will never go against one's will. He'll be the first item to be auctioned when the auction begins. As Ryu Changfeng was talking, several complicated runes came out of his palm and went into Biju's body. After a short while, he stopped screaming and became as obedient as a little pup. He then pulled out a collar, which was a great overarching Tao vessel. He threw it into the air, and the collar landed on the middlemost of Biju's head. After that, several runes came out of his body and merged into the collar. Go! Ryu Changfeng threw the bird into the air, and Biju transformed back into the young man. He made a bow at Ryu Changfeng before turning back into the nine-headed bird and perched on the palace. Gentlemen and ladies, don't forget about the auction that will take place in another year. He bowed at the surroundings before looking into the abyss. A confused expression appeared on his face, but he shook his head indifferently and went back into the palace. Those experts who had seen what had happened to Baiju couldn't help themselves but shuddered. Even the great heavenly venerate nearly jumped up from his throne and shouted, How did he do that? I have no idea either, Star-Lord Taibai said, his blood turning cold and cold sweats were oozing out of his forehead. He looked at the world monitoring for a long time before he finally came around to his senses. He pressed his parched lips and said in a faltering voice, even though there's a possibility that Biju has only entered the quasi-sage realm not long ago, he's still a quasi-sage expert. How is there any chance he would get caught by him so easily? Not only that, but he even has his mind washed and manipulated by that guy. If not, considering Baiju's arrogant attitude, he would rather die than bow and submit to someone like him. Your Majesty, can a Saint Lord manipulate one mind like that? He knew the great heavenly venerate couldn't do something like that no matter how powerful he was. I'm afraid the answer is no, but he obviously isn't a Saint Lord, so how did he do that? The great heavenly venerate sat down. He had calmed himself down, but his heart was still pumping wildly. He thought about the hit that punctured the abyss. Is it him? If it were him, then why doesn't he show himself? Does he do that to throw the world into chaos so that he can sell better during the auction? Chuyang Peak. Ryu Changfeng. Jiang Ming shouted. The reason he enslaved Baiju after catching him is to tell other people that he isn't a pushover, and if they dare to attack him they would end up like Baiju as well. From this alone he could tell that Ryu Changfeng was at least a Saint Lord. It seems like he can only do auctions and is forbidden from taking other people's lives for descending to this world. However, this was just Jiang Ming's speculation, but he knew now was not the right time for that. He shook his head and went into the supreme chat room. Yi Hua, how is the preparation going? Is it done? Yes. I used my special authority to open the Sun Treasure Vault, but I only found 30 great overarching Tao vessels. Amongst the 30 great overarching Tao vessels, 21 of them are of normal grade, 5 of them are middle grade, and 4 of them high grade. I'm torn between whether I should exchange them with you for points or not. Do you even need to think about that? Points are everything here. You can always get a great overarching Tao vessel at other places, but a great chance like this to earn a ton of points isn't something you would come across every day. I'm going to start a war to gather some great overarching Tao vessels. Group admin, you have to accept them when I get them later on. Don't worry. You have my words. How are we supposed to exchange the great overarching Tao vessel? According to the rules, the golden immortal weapon costs 1 point, and the Tai immortal weapon costs 5 points. The great overarching Tao vessel is categorized into 3 levels such as normal, middle, and top grade, which cost 50, 75, and 100 points respectively. As for the quasi-sage weapon, it's even more expensive. It uses the same grading system as the great overarching Tao vessel, and it costs 500, 1000, and 1500 points respectively. That's cheap. An advanced grade immortal vein costs 10,000 points, but the lowest grade of the quasi-sage weapon only costs 500 points. The cost for a great overarching Tao vessel is considered quite high, and according to my speculation, I'm afraid no one will exchange it for points. A quasi-sage weapon might be a little bit more useful, but for us it's not worth much. However, things are different when it comes to an advanced grade immortal vein. It's something that can only be found in great chiliocosms. There are fragments of law as well as Sage Realm Tao fluctuation in it. It's extremely useful in our cultivation, so it's priceless and its value is comparable to that of a holy weapon. You see, amongst us, only Hong Yi could get his hand on one advanced grade immortal vein. That guy has developed the civilization Tao. He's blessed with great fortune and great opportunities. I'm afraid he has a lot of good stuff in his hands. It's normal for other people to use points to exchange for treasures or holy law, but you, group admin, you're the only person who would use points to exchange for weapons. Listening to the teaching of Tao can bring a lot of benefits to us. For example, some people will finally find their own pathway. The others might awaken their bloodline or have a breakthrough. There, again, is an unprecedented sacred place for cultivation. Even if you don't want to listen to the teaching of Tao, you can spend 1 point to cultivate in the Tao Enlightenment Sea of Enlightenment for an hour. But I would recommend you to save up 1,000 points to listen to the teaching of Tao once. This kind of opportunity is something that we can't ask for. If you miss it, you might miss your future. If you'll miss it, you might miss your future. I used to wonder if I should save up those points, but after listening to what you said, it's only then I realized the true benefit of listening to the teaching of Tao. One would never know how good a thing is without having experienced it first. Brother Hong, how many times have you listened to the teaching of Tao? Hushi va'alu I, hushi va'alu I, hushi va'alu ronin. I said you can tell us means you can tell us.
How about the quasi-sage weapon?
You guys don't have any? We do have some, but we still need them for protection, so we can't trade them with you for points for the time being. By the way, is the time limit really 30 years? Yeah, it won't do me any good if I drag it on for too long. You're right. Brother Hong, is it really that useful to listen to the teaching of Tao? Trust me, you won't regret it. Alright then, since I've made up my mind, it doesn't matter if it's 30 years later or now. After I've gotten the points, I would sign myself up for a teaching lesson of Tao. It's fine if I can't ascend into the next realm, but I wish I could evolve my bloodline to increase my combat prowess so that I can challenge the battle tower. You've made the right choice. After their conversation, Jiang Ming had gotten plenty of Tao vessels through the Supreme Order. He also had obtained other things such as immortal crystals, divine fluid, and spiritual roots to name a few. Some of the group members also said that they were persuading the people behind them to start a war. After all, in Hong Yi's words, their group admin had given them a great opportunity to ascend their strength to the next level. Jiang Ming checked his points and he realized that he had only used tens of thousands of points. The Supreme Pagod is the real treasure, Jiang Ming said. He then absorbed the immortal crystals and the other into his inner world. After that, he rose to his feet and came to the balcony. He looked into the distance. The Tianyun realm was vast, and it was filled with an immense amount of immortal spirit natural aura. Compared to the first time they came here, the Tianyun realm had changed a lot. Even the animals and plants were changing. The cultivation speed of the sect's disciples also skyrocketed. Even for normal people, after being bathed in the immortal spirit natural aura for such a long time, they became healthier and stronger. He turned around and looked at the Juyang Grand Hall. Then he shook his head. Their cultivation speed is too slow. As an idea surfaced in his mind, he waved his hand and a 9-layered pagoda appeared in the empty space in front of the Juyang Grand Hall. It gave off a bright divine light, startling the people in the Juyang sect. Then, Jiang Ming's voice rang out in their voice. This is a great overarching Tao vessel as the Annulum Pagoda. The first level is a book depository and it houses many immortal techniques and special abilities. You can choose anyone you like to cultivate. On the second level, it's a space where you can use for cultivating or training. The flow of time inside is 1,000 times faster than the flow of time outside. At this moment, the Annulum Pagoda began to spin as it absorbed the immortal spirit natural aura from the world outside.
Senior brother, are you preparing to nurture the disciples of our sect?
Phoenix Linglong came over and hugged his arm. We're in the Infinite Realms battlefield right now, but our sect is too weak. If I don't speed up their cultivation, I don't know when we can get out of here, Jiang Ming said. You're just like their father. Well, I just do what I can do to help them. After all, this is our home as well. Yeah, you're right. This is our home. Senior brother, why don't we get a child? A what? Now is not the right time. When the time comes, we'll have a little phoenix. You promise? I promise. After that, Jiang Ming flew into the sky. He emerged from the Tianyuan realm and headed straight to the Tianyuan Sea. Ryu Changfeng seemed to have detected him, and the entrance of the Infinite Realm auction house opened up. He came out and greeted Jiang Ming with a smile on his face. Brother Jiang, I'm so happy to see you. It carried a whole different meaning since Jiang Ming came to meet him in his real form. Brother Ryu, you've caught my interest and I can't wait to see you in person, Jiang Ming replied. Haha, after you, after you. Jiang Ming looked at the nine-headed bird before going into the palace. The door closed when they were inside. He flung his sleeve and 80 great overarching Dao vessels, 10 quasi-sage weapons including the mystical arcane halberd, the 9-level golden pagoda, black god blade and god-slaying spear he used to kill Hong Luo demon venerate appeared on the floor. These quasi-sage weapons, including the mystical arcane halberd, were useless to him. Therefore, he figured that he should exchange them for something useful. There are so many of them. Ryu Changfeng's eyes glowed. All of the Dao vessels in front of him came from different worlds, and he was excited. He brought the heart of the middle Chiliocosm and handed it to Jiang Ming. Brother Jiang, what else do you need? Jiang Ming took over the heart of the middle Chiliocosm and stored it in his inner world before passing it into the human path's record. After he ascertained that there was nothing wrong with it, it was only then he absorbed into his inner world. He could clearly sense that his inner world trembled and the evolution speed had increased by 1,000 times. I need a set of great overarching Dao vessels. I'm going to put them in the Tianyun realm as a defensive measure. In the meantime, I can also extract some energy from the void for cultivation, Jiang Ming said. That's easy, Ryu Changfeng said after he thought for a while. He tapped the air and a light ball appeared in front of him. There were 49 swords in the light ball and each of them were emitting an immense light. All of them were great overarching Dao vessels, and they were made from the same materials. This is the Heavenly Star Sword. There are 49 of them, and once you've put them in a formation, they could absorb power from their surroundings. The formation will start to run by itself after you've set them up. The immortal spirit natural aura they absorb will be 1,000,000 times more concentrated than that of the outside world. You can also control the formation as well to defend or to kill the intruders, and it's strong enough to hold a quasi-sage expert. What do you think about it? Ryu Changfeng said with a smile. Cool. I like it. Jiang Ming's eyes glowed. This is exactly what I need. Haha, I'm glad that you like it. Ryu Changfeng laughed. It's still not enough to cover the value of the item you gave me. What else do you need? I have some friends, but their cultivation levels are too low. Can you recommend something that could aid them in their cultivation? Jiang Ming asked. Let me think. Ryu Changfeng thought for a while. I have enlightening stone, enlightening fruit, and heavenly heart futon with me right now. All of them can aid in cultivation. If you think it's not enough, I still have some items that can increase one's cultivation level such as ginseng fruit, stellar fruit, tai golden pill, great overarching golden pill, and so on. Why don't you pick yourself? He flung his sleeve and they arrived in a treasure vault. Everywhere Jiang Ming looked, he saw immortal pills, spiritual fruits, and treasures. They all filled the entire vault to the brim, and Jiang Ming was shocked. Great overarching golden pill. If one took it at the peak stage of the Tai realm, there were 50% one could step into the great overarching realm. Stellar fruit. Those below the heavenly immortal could take it and form the stellar Dao body directly. 9 reincarnation golden pill. After taking it, even an ordinary person could form the great overarching Dao body. 7 sacred heart jade fruits. One would obtain the ability to look through everyone's true form after consuming it. Yang Ming did not know what to say at all. Brother Ryu, can I rob you? Ryu Kangfeng was tickled pink and chuckled. Brother Jiang, these don't have any use for me. I just collect them for fun. How can you say they don't have any use for you? You can use them to earn a ton of money. Jiang Ming said, anyway, how are you going to trade them? You can pick either 3 for free. Are you sure? Yeah, go ahead. Thank you very much, Brother Ryu. You're the best, Jiang Ming said. Ryu Changfeng smiled at him and said, well, these are nothing compared to the deal we're going to make. He hesitated for a while before gritting his teeth and asked, Brother Jiang, is it possible to get more treasures from other worlds, not only Dao vessels? Jiang Ming frowned slightly. Brother Jiang, Ryu Changfeng bowed at him. If you can get those items, I'll pay you twice of their original value. For 1 great overarching Dao vessel, you can exchange for 2 and 1 immortal vein with me. Of course, the traded ones don't count. You might go bankrupt. Jiang Ming squinted his eyes. He did not know why Ryu Changfeng would go to that extent just to get some items. He wouldn't be able to gain any profit from the deal at all. Well, since I'm going to do business with you, I guess I should tell you everything, Brother Jiang, Ryu Changfeng said. It's not entirely an unprofitable deal even if I pay you in double, considering the things I've amassed in the past. The reason I want different items from different worlds is that I want the aura of the world that linger on those items. Once I get the item, I would send it back and extract it to refine as the worldly origin essence. I'm on the verge of ascending into the next realm and I need a lot of worldly origin essence. If I do it at the same pace as I did in the past, I might need to go to hundreds of worlds before I can achieve the sanctification of Dao. The sanctification of Dao is too difficult, and in my case it's even more difficult since I cultivate a different Dao. 100 worlds might seem a little, but it needs a ton of time and effort, not to mention the danger that comes with it. Brother Jiang, you're my only hope. If you can get me the items I need, I'll give you the most precious items I have. It's an item that can evolve your inner world into the great Chiliocosm. Take the value of an ordinary great overarching Dao vessel weapon as a unit. I'll give you the best price based on our friendship. 10,000 items. This is the best price I can offer you. Brother Jiang, can you provide items of corresponding value from all the worlds? Ryu Changfeng said hesitantly. 10,000 items. Jiang Ming was shocked. Whoosh! The human paths record appeared. He knew that Ryu Changfeng was not lying from his status. Then, when he saw the item from his status, his eyes grew wide and his heart began to gallop. Ming's original self is here. He seems to be interested in this. I have a feeling that there will be a great amount of trades coming up. Good gracious, he comes up with so many great overarching Dao vessels and quasi-sage weapons in such a short period of time. They even contain the aura of different worlds, which is somewhat incredible. I already knew that he came from the planar world and had descended to this world not long ago. He hasn't entered the great overarching realm and should be in the golden immortal realm currently, but is still able to cut down a quasi-sage expert. Looking at various great chiliocosms, there are but only several that can be compared against him. Even my achievement back then was far inferior to his. As for the inheritance, if it is not from the Lord God's space in the reincarnation hall, then it should be that heavenly venerate, that Taoist ancestor, or maybe the legendary supreme pagoda. No matter where his inheritance came from, it all shows that he is able to get in touch with people from other great chiliocosms. Moreover, he walks on the path of world Tao. Not only is his combat power sky-defying, but he also has the possibility of evolving his inner world into the middle chiliocosm. Coupled with the transactions with me, such possibility would be increased even further. This is a potential customer. Perhaps he may even be my opportunity to sanctify my way of Tao, should I take my chance on him. If I don't, I will preside over the auction and proceed step by step. As such, it would be impossible for me to sanctify my path of Tao without more than 1 billion years' time. Who knows how many twists and turns I'll be experiencing during this period of time. If I take my chance, he can come up with so many things in a short period of time. If the temptation is greater, perhaps my accumulation would meet the conditions from this trip alone. Alas, I'm just not reconciled. I can't find another chaotic tree's seedling in the future. Once it grows up, it will be able to give birth to the chaos law. No, it might even give birth to the power of the chaos origin. Nevertheless, how long would it take for it to grow? 100 billion years? Trillions of years? It would take way too long. The beneficiaries of the reincarnation hall and the Lord God's space who I formed alliances with in the past were too useless. I forced myself to meet up with them several times, but they still couldn't offer me with many great items. All of them even ended up getting killed one by one. Otherwise, how could I have such a thought of taking my chance on him? Alas, it's the sanctification of Tao. Damn it, I'll offer it. I'll give him 100 years' time to prepare. If the trade can't be met, I will honestly continue walking through the various worlds. If the trade goes well, I will return to sanctify my way of Tao. Jiang Ming was shocked, but his expression remained indifferent. The chaotic tree's seedling, which could breed chaos laws and even the power of the chaos origin, what level of spiritual root would that be? It would be at a heaven-defying level. However, the time it needed to grow would be far too long, to the point that it would lead people to despair. An offer of 10,000 Dao vessels, and that's the lowest price I can go with. Ryu Changfeng's face was full of pain and his expression was extremely solemn. Brother Jiang, can you provide them? If you can, I will bring out the seedling. Else, that's the end of the trade. 10,000 pieces. Jiang Ming's heart throbbed a little. 10,000 pieces of great overarching Dao vessels. Jiang Ming did not even know if there were so many Dao vessels that existed in the entire Honggu heavenly realm. Moreover, these Dao vessels must have originated from various infinite realms. Jiang Ming shook his head. I won't be able to get my hands on only great overarching Dao vessels for it. What about mixing with the Tai weapons, spiritual roots, and others? Would such items be acceptable? Alright, but these items need to be at least Tai leveled. 10 Tai leveled items, whether they are at elementary or perfect level, can only be equivalent to 1 Dao vessel, and that they must come from at least more than 100 great chiliocosms. Is that so? Jiang Ming frowned as he sunk into deep thoughts. It would not be enough to just rely on my chat group's friends, but there are many members in the Supreme Pagoda. There's also the 5th Immortal Moon. He thought he should be able to collect enough items. Is there a time limit? Jiang Ming asked again. 100 years. At most 100 years, replied Ryu Changfeng. Alright then, I accept it. For real? Yes. In that case, Riri Changfeng hesitated for a moment, then let out a sigh before smiling bitterly. Rarely do I get into such complicated thoughts, but the item that I'm about to bring to the table is really a genuine great encounter. It's a great encounter indeed, but I need to grow up quickly. As he continued, his tone slowly turned solemn. Brother Jiang, let's just start up front with each other and specify the terms clearly before we proceed with courtesy later on. After all, this item is too special and there can be no mistakes allowed. Before I bring out the item, I need you to swear an oath. Before the trade, you can never disclose it to a second person. If the trade were to be unsuccessful in the end, the oath will always continue to be valid. At the same time, I will also swear an oath that if the trade is successfully made, I will never disclose it to a second person. Can we agree on this? Brother Ryu, Jiang Ming frowned, rivaling a displeased expression on his face. You should know what it means to swear on an oath. Of course I know. It will hinder the heart, Ryu Changfeng replied apologetically, but it has to be so. If you are confident that you can get your hands on items that are valued at 10,000 Dao vessels, the oath you swore will be over by the end of the trade. As for myself, I would have to keep my oath inevitably throughout my life. I don't understand. Since this is such a valuable item, why don't you refer to the people behind you? Come to think of it, if you hand the item over, they will surely give you a lot of benefits. If Jiang Ming didn't know the item that was to be traded and was asked to swear an oath for it, the trade would have been impossible. He would have flicked his sleeves and left instantly. As for now, Jiang Ming naturally wanted to pretend to thoroughly ask about the whole thing. My master is dead. Ryu Changfeng's expression was a little gloomy. I dare not hand the item over. If I handed the item in, half the chance would be that I'll be given huge rewards, yet the other half of the chance would be myself getting silenced. What if you hand it over publicly? I'm afraid that I'll be killed before I can even refine all of the benefits that I would have received. It would be that brutal. Alas, Ryu Changfeng sighed. Plundering is our essence to begin with. He paused, looking at Jiang Ming with a complicated expression on his face. If I hadn't had a special sense that you are somewhat still an honest person, I would not have even brought this up. I'm still a good person to you? Jiang Ming asked curiously. Of course, Ryu Changfeng nodded. Jiang Ming was speechless, but shook his head and said, It is impossible for me to swear an oath of the great Tao. However, I can tell you about my inheritance. I believe that after I reveal it, you should be able to feel my sincerity. Ryu Changfeng frowned. The very next moment, he saw a token appear in front of Jiang Ming. His pupils immediately shrank, as he somewhat understood what Jiang Ming was getting at. I'm the group admin, Jiang Ming added. What? Ryu Changfeng's eyes instantly widened. He stared at Jiang Ming with disbelief, and after a while he slowly nodded. No wonder you can get so many great items in such a short period of time. To think that you are the group admin to that place. You are truly incredible. I'm now certain that your inner world will definitely evolve to middle chiliocosm. If you were to obtain this item of mine, as long as you don't die and keep going, you would eventually reach the great chiliocosm. Great chiliocosm? Oh my. The more Ryu Changfeng continued explaining, the swifter his tone was, as he finally said with a smile, You no longer have to swear an oath. Why? Jiang Ming also smiled. Your inheritance. It's mysterious but isn't a secret. Ryu Changfeng said, It just so happens that I know some about it. Can you tell me? All right. It's mysterious because no one knew of its details so far. It's not a secret because there are indeed many people who knew of it. I also know that if you don't enter the great overarching realm, you won't be able to obtain the real inheritance nor be considered the real disciple from that place. Because of that, I'm sure that there isn't any powerful person behind you currently. Even you yourself don't know the details? Of course. I'm afraid you don't understand that this token can only be obtained by chance and cannot be forced upon. I admire you even more now. For you to be born in the planar world and only relied on the great encounter of this token to grow to such a level today is simply incredible. Ryu Changfeng sighed again and again, before finally taking out the pot of seedling. In an instant, a strong aura of vitality surged throughout like the ocean waves with strands of Tao fluctuation lingering around, as if there were echoes from the sound of the great Tao. Jiang Ming narrowed his eyes and noticed that the seedling in Ryu Changfeng's hand was only half a foot tall, with 9 leaves as green as jade. On each blade there were 3,000 lines, not a single more or less. Around each line were 3,000 breathing pores. Each pore was breathing the breath of heaven and earth, as well as the power of order. This is a chaotic tree's seedling. Ryu Changfeng had a complicated look on his face. I was hunted down by a holy venerate once, accidentally strayed into a secret realm in the chaos and got a hold of this seedling. There are rumors saying that it would give birth to a great chiliocosm after it's matured, that it can breed the chaos laws and give birth to the chaos origin, and that the former chaos was sustained by the chaotic tree. No matter what it is, this seedling here is still a chaotic spiritual root even if it's still in its infancy stage. If I wasn't in a hurry to sanctify my way of Tao, I wouldn't have brought it out at all. Brother Jiang, consider this a steal for you. You can also have a check on its authenticity. Ryu Changfeng handed the seedling over. Without being hypocritical about it, Jiang Ming took it in his hand and immediately felt his hands sink from the seedling's weight. It was extremely heavy, as though he was holding a 10,000 feet high sacred mountain on his palms. All in all, it was just a seedling. His inner world trembled inexplicably, as if it was very eager for the seedling. With a flip of his palm, the seedling disappeared and was brought directly into his inner world. In an instant, the vast space echoed with roars as 3,000 power of laws were directly manifested, surrounding the seedlings. There were also various anomalies that took place all around the place. If I get this seedling, the evolution of my inner world will be increased by at least 10,000 times and I will definitely be able to enter the middle chiliocosm level. Jiang Ming felt deep inside. When Jiang Ming looked over at Ryu Changfeng, he saw the stiff smile on his face as he forcibly held back himself. Jiang Ming merely smiled as he inserted the seedling into the human path record. An introduction appeared on it. The seedling of the chaotic tree is the mother of all trees and the source of all things. Upon entering its mature stage, it can give birth to 3,000 great laws and evolve into a great chiliocosm. As Jiang Ming read the introduction, his heart violently skipped a beat. He took the seedling out and handed it over. Great treasure, however, how can I make it grow faster? Ryu Changfeng secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He almost made his move just now when Jiang Ming took the seedling into his inner world. When he heard Jiang Ming's question, a flash of embarrassment flashed through his face as he answered, I won't lie to you, this is a treasure, a supreme treasure at that, but its growth is too slow. It has been 30 million years since I got it, but it has only grown taller by a mere 3 inches. While it had 9 leaves back then, it still only has 9 leaves now. Only 1 inch taller in 10 million years? Jiang Ming had a look of astonishment on his face. Ryu Changfeng shrugged helplessly. As long as it's an energy object, it absorbs everything, whether they are immortal crystals, divine stones, even spiritual crystals and such. Of course, the best things are innate vital essence, chaos vital essence, Xuanhuang origin essence, and so on. Even with that, it's only grown an inch in 1,000 years. Jiang Ming really felt as if the seedling was but an extra. However, for a person like you who walks on the path of world Tao, it is a supreme treasure which allows you to break through the bottleneck of the great chiliocosm in the future. Based on this fact alone would have made countless people go crazy for it. Ryu Changfeng carefully took in the seedling and kept it carefully. Do you want it? Yes. Jiang Ming gritted his teeth. Alright then, I'll only give you 100 years to provide me with items worth 10,000 pieces of Tao vessels. I won't attend to you if you run out of time. Ryu Changfeng continued again. I'll give you a warning first. If you really trade for it in the future, always remember not to easily stimulate the special abilities to accelerate the growth of this spiritual root. That's because once it's activated, its growth will accelerate. If you put it into your inner world, it may drain your inner world dry. Of course, ordinary special abilities that accelerate growth are useless to it. That's the real reason you took it out to make a deal, Jiang Ming said speechlessly. Ryu Changfeng merely smiled. In the end, Jiang Ming left. On top of Chuyang Peak, Phoenix Jr.'s sister made a cup of tea and brought it over to Jiang Ming. Senior brother, is it done? Yeah. Jiang Ming held the cup and took a sip. As he sat down, his eyes narrowed and looked towards the distant mountains. Over there, the 5th immortal moon had already finished breaking through and had also consolidated her cultivation briefly. She had completely entered the Tai golden immortal realm. Jiang Ming transmitted some of his thoughts over to her. 10,000 Tao vessels. 10,000 of them, he sighed in his heart and was a little worried. He had experienced many battles in the past and collected many trophies, but he gave the 5th immortal moon most of them. Although he collected many items this time around, their value wasn't as great as previous. If he wanted to plan further, he could only head towards the Supreme Pagoda. Just as he was about to go, he suddenly stood up and looked into the distance. Senior brother, what's wrong? Phoenix Jr.'s sister asked. Something big is about to happen. Jiang Ming's tone was solemn. Mountain Master Tian Yuan also felt the same thing. After all, although the place was shielded from the prying eyes of the outside world, they could still clearly sense the changes in the outside world. He came out of his cultivation retreat, landed right next to Jiang Ming and said solemnly, "It's going to be a mess." Yeah, it's going to be a mess indeed. Both of them looked over to the west at the same time. Over there, a total of 36 gates appeared out of thin air, each of which was 10,000 feet tall as large numbers of demons swarmed out from them like tidal waves. As each of them came out of the gate, they forced their way into various stations, and even found the gateway towards many small chiliocosms, middle chiliocosms, and even heavenly realms, barging in directly. In addition, a large number of demon gates appeared in the east, south, and north direction as well. This is the great demon venerate's revenge. Mountain Master Tian Yuan said, the great heavenly venerate's attack before this penetrated through the abyss must have made the great demon venerate extremely angry and felt the danger of death. In addition, with the beginning of the great trial, he might think that the great heavenly venerate was taking this opportunity to level the abyss directly. Hence, he wanted to drag down countless realms with him. No, the big trial is ongoing at the moment. How could he mobilize so many demons? As Mountain Master Tian Yuan said this, he rose into the sky and came to the top of the sky. With his divine eyes, he evoked his special ability, peered through the layers of space, and looked towards the abyss. I am afraid that the disciples of many forces have retreated as well. Jiang Ming came over to him and speculated. That attack from the great heavenly venerate not only enraged the great demon venerate, but also led to the disappointment of the many forces. They might even feel the sadness and fear from their enemies being taken down like that. After all, that one attack killed 3 Venerates in one go. Who can guarantee that the great heavenly Venerate will not launch such an attack on them? The stronger a being is, the more they will cherish their life, leading to them being more suspicious of others and sometimes turning them to become more ruthless and decisive. If that's the case, Mountain Master Tian Yuan's expression became more solemn. Perhaps the great demon Venerate has secretly affiliated with many of the old peoples. If so, he should also be jumping out and challenging the Heavenly Emperor. If it's an open challenge, Jiang Ming hesitated. Will the Heavenly Emperor appear? If he doesn't fight, he will lose his majesty. If he chooses to fight, he might be besieged. If the great demon Venerate is really desperate to kill the immortal emperors and immortal Venerates sent by the Heavenly Court, Mountain Master Tian Yuan's tone became even more serious. The Heavenly Emperor will definitely fight back. This also means that the Foe sect, the Dragon Clan, the Demon Holy Palace and many others will also emerge for the Great War. The two looked at each other as both of them thought of the most terrifying consequences from the war. Jiang Ming did not care much for what was happening. Upon returning to Chuyang Peak, he lay down to take a rest. In his words, chaos. Let there be more chaos. The more chaotic, the better. When things became chaotic, no one would pay attention to him and he could continue developing himself silently. Other than the Heavenly Emperor, I'm afraid all parties want the world to be in chaos. Mountain Master Tian Yuan was even blunter as he continued. The Dragon Clan, the Demon Holy Palace, the Foe sect, the Abyss, and even our human race all hope that there will be chaos to take down the Heavenly Emperor from his throne. Why? Jiang Ming asked. The Mountain Master Tian Yuan stood beside the railing and looked over at the Infinite Realm auction house. Us human race may seem powerful, but is in fact too scattered and divided by many parties. The Heavenly Court overrules, Foe sects purifies, the Demon Clan cannibalizes, not to mention the Abyss. You can understand a bit by just looking at the Tianyuan continent. The sacred lands of the human race appeared as though they were in control, but was that really a fact? When the immortals descended into the mortal world, did they even care about the life and death of the human race? The sacred land didn't care, so did the Foe sect, and the Abyss even destroyed your world. Only by turning the whole world into chaos. He stretched out his hand and clenched his fist. Only then will the scattered parties gather into one and even have the opportunity to take down the Heavenly Court, suppress the Foe sect, and trample the Abyss under our feet. Only then will our human race have hope of becoming the real master of this world and not the titular presence. Is there any quasi-sage expert at his pinnacle within our human race? Jiang Ming seemed to ask himself again. If not, what's the use of chaos? Mountain Master Tian Yuan turned around with a meaningful smile on his face. We humans are also the oldest existence. Would you even believe that there is no quasi-sage expert at his pinnacle among us? Although I have never seen one, I still don't believe so. Yang Ming pondered. There was no legend here about the creation of man at all. At the beginning where the world was created, thousands of races, including the human, were born. If it were not for the fact that the human race was naturally weaker, had no innate special abilities, and grew slower in the initial stages, how would the other races stand a chance? It doesn't matter if there is or not. Jiang Ming stood up and said with a smile, there is a saying in the mortal world, if you rely on mountains, the mountains might tumble. If you rely on people, the people might run. Relying on others will never be as good as relying on yourself. Being strong yourself is the foundation. Such a good way to put it. Mountain Master Tian Yuan held his hand. What are your plans in the future? Guard this place. Jiang Ming said, even if the Heavenly Emperor steps into the Tianyuan world, I am confident that I can exchange a few blows with him. If I end up with desperation, I will just risk everything I have to drag the Heavenly Emperor down from his throne. You can at least protect yourself this way, but... Mountain Master Tian Yuan frowned. There is still a shortcoming. Shortcoming? Yes. Tell me, old brother. This place is too small. If you are besieged by a large formation array from the outside, bombarded by it day and night, or that the place here is directly cut down and moved into the torrent of time and space, how will you be able to deal with it? This, Yang Ming frowned. He really had not thought about this. However, now that it had been brought up, he had to think about it carefully. In a glimpse of an eye, thousands of thoughts flashed across his mind. In the end, all of them converged into a single line of thought which was then temporarily suppressed. Mountain Master Tian Yuan returned to his residence and continued with his recovery. Senior brother, Phoenix Jr.'s sister hugged his arm. Would you like me to help you relieve the pressure? Relieve pressure. Well, look at you frowning. What's the use of thinking so much? We'll just deal with whatever comes our way. Even if it's the worst case scenario, we can just head towards our place of inheritance. If we really reach such a stage, we can just cultivate to the highest realm before returning here and wipe them all out. So, you don't have to think too much. Now, let me relax you a little. That's right. Hey, stop it with your hand. Hiss. Stop squirming around. Senior brother, even your weapon has raised its halberd. Immediately after, a thick mist shrouded the area, blocking off the view. Facing the sunset overlooking the thousands of miles of mountains and rivers, a raucous melody could be heard echoing from the balcony. As the sun sank, the sea swirled more and more violently, eventually setting off a torrent of water, heaving. At the mountain in the far distance, a stream of water suddenly shot down, turning into a charming waterfall. As the night finally came down, Jiang Ming shuddered for a moment before he stabilized himself. Life is such a scramble. He laughed dumbly. I know what's for dinner. Let's fry a few eggs. Rousing his hands, he stretched his body and started to prepare dinner. While he was beating the eggs, his junior sister jumped over, put her arms around his neck and hung around beside him. Don't cause trouble, I'm cooking. You cook, I'll do the heavy lifting. The flavor will change. We'll just have seafood porridge then. Yang Ming was speechless. This meal was finally made with many twists and turns. After dinner was ready, he laid on the wicker chair, stared at the sky full of stars, looked at the ocean in the distance and ate a unique seafood feast. Ding! Congratulations to the host for making and enjoying a seafood-scented dinner under the bliss of yin and yang. You are rewarded with the increase of Tao fluctuation within the Saint Province Tao square to 10,000-fold than that of the outside world. Jiang Ming took a deep breath, because he was really surprised by the system this time. He never imagined that there would be such a reward in exchange for indulging in the bliss of intimacy. With just a thought, the Tao fluctuation on Quyang Peak changed, reaching 10,000 times more intense than that of the outside world. The outside world was the infinite realm battlefield, where the Tao fluctuation was the same as the heavenly realm. This meant that the Tao fluctuation on Quyang Peak was now equivalent to 10,000 times more intense than that of the heavenly realm. In an instant, the Tao fluctuation flowed through, almost materializing itself. You could even vaguely see the traces of rules flowing through and the mystery of the cycle of creation. Even the chain of orders occasionally appeared. Senior brother, what's the matter? Phoenix junior sister sensed the changes immediately. She sat on Jiang Ming's body, raised her head, and her red face was full of shock. She was truly shocked. It seems that with a little comprehension you can directly fall into the state of enlightenment. She was really startled. Just treat it as a sage venerate level Tao square. Jiang Ming explained vaguely. The inheritance of the Supreme Pagoda could be exposed, but he would not speak to anyone about the system except to himself. After all, it was the foundation towards his standing. It's almost better than the cultivation conditions in the inheritance's place where my original body went. The Phoenix junior sister did not continue asking, but was amazed. With such an environment, do we even have to worry about the cultivation of our people in Tianyun world from skyrocketing? I'm afraid that cultivating for a day here would be akin to 10 years of effort in the outside world. Jiang Ming merely smiled. With a slight thought, he began to adjust the intensity of the Tao fluctuation in various places. It was 10,000 times higher on Quyang Peak, 1,000 times higher in Zhuyang Sect, and 100 times higher in the Tianyun world. It was finally enough. Phoenix junior sister finally left. Jiang Ming exhaled a white gaseous breath that traveled thousands of miles away. I need to leave for a while and will return in a few days' time at most. Just go, senior brother. All right. After Jiang Ming explained himself, he communicated with the Supreme Order and entered the Supreme Pagoda. Over on the other side, Mountain Master Tian Yuan opened his eyes, raised his head, and revealed an inconceivable look on his face. The Tao fluctuation has actually materialized, and the heavenly Tao has taken off a veil. Even the legendary sage venerate Tao square can't be compared to this. In this current time, the laws of heaven and earth have become stable, making it very difficult to comprehend it. However, it seems that it has manifested inside this place. If I continue to cultivate here, am I going to reach the middle stage of the quasi-sage realm? The later stage or even pinnacle? He had a face filled with excitement. As he stood up, he wanted to go see Jiang Ming, but suppressed his thoughts when he realized that the place over there was shrouded with mist. He's getting more and more mysterious. It's great. It's still great. The more mysterious the better, the more powerful the better. Mountain Master Tian Yuan smiled and sat down cross-legged. The sect master Yan Yan and the others also sensed the change, but they were all calm. After all, they had experienced too much that they were already numb from the shocks. They merely walked out of the hall and clenched their fists to show respect in the direction of Quyang Peak. Looking through the various peaks, Sectmaster Yan Yan sensed a surge of aura rising into the sky. He knew that it was the fluctuation caused by cultivators breaking through. He stroked his beard and nodded with satisfaction. Not bad at all. I will also work hard on my cultivation and strive to enter the immortal realm as soon as possible. Oh, the immortal realm. A level that I won't even dare dream of. But now it's just right in front of me. When he thought about it sometimes, the Sectmaster still felt that it was a little unreal. Inside the Supreme Pagoda, Jiang Ming appeared in the incomparably spacious square. When he looked around, he saw Ye King Shen was just standing up on a lotus platform on the Sea of Enlightenment. As if a slight feeling tingled in her, she looked back at him and was a little startled, but couldn't help laughing. Brother Jiang, Ye King Shen paced over in the air. How's it going? Jiang Ming cupped his hands. Any great gains? It's rewarding. It's just that turning on the Tao enlightenment mode takes up too many points. Yi Qingshan smiled helplessly. I've either been going to the battle tower for training, or to the heavenly ladder to temper my will recently. However, to improve in a short time, I still need to turn on the Tao enlightenment mode. Take your time, there's a lot of time anyway. Jiang Ming waved. 2 chairs and a coffee table appeared and the two sat down. My aptitude is too lacking and I don't have many points with me, so I can only rely on hard work. Yi Qingshan took a sip from the teacup. With the goal of joining the group chat and you as the goal, such a life is not bad at all. After all, it is without the daily hassles. This is a good mentality. Jiang Ming held his teacup and continued to ask, can you leave for a long time from reality? Yes, I can. Ye Qingshan looked puzzled. Is something wrong? I can stay here for a long time. I need your help. Jiang Ming went on, revealing his intentions of buying items such as Tai weapons, high-grade immortal pills, high-grade immortal medicine, middle-grade and above spiritual roots, immortal veins, and immortal fountains. Alright, I'm idle anyway, and the flow of time here is 1,000 times faster than the outside world. Yi Qingshan took in his request for help. Jiang Ming directly transferred 101,000 points over to her. 1,000 points was the reward, whereas the 100,000 was the principal for buying the items he requested. Brother Jiang, are you sure to give me 1,000 points as the reward? Ye Qingshan was shocked. It's just a drizzle of rain, Jiang Ming said indifferently. Yi Qingshan clicked her tongue, but shook her head helplessly. Well, I'll be taking advantage of a philanthropist like you, I guess. 1,000 points for just a meager of my time. I feel like a criminal already. Just give more thought to it. Not to worry, Brother Jiang. However, with 100,000 points in hand, why do I have the urge to directly keep it for myself? It's only 100,000 points. Brother Jiang, it's insignificant in your eyes, but for us it will make us go crazy. Ye Qingshan couldn't help laughing. After understanding from others, the people here are extremely eager to get points. There are people selling Tai immortal weapons in the public for 5 points each, and they are the pinnacle immortal weapon. Even so, no one is willing to exchange them. I can even push the price down further to 4 or even 3 points. Such a low price? Jiang Ming was surprised. It's easier to trade Tai immortal weapon with spiritual items of the corresponding level, but too difficult for the points, and this is a common phenomenon, Brother Jiang. Not everyone is like you. Just look at me, for example. I was once a member of the chat group in the past, but now I'm so worried about points that even my hairs are turning gray. In this place, 1 point is equivalent to 2 hours of Tao enlightenment. When it comes to the critical moments, this is even equivalent to a great encounter. Some people are even willing to exchange a piece of Te immortal soldier for just 1 point. You can figure it out. I only have one request. It needs to be fast. After you use up the points, I will give you another batch. You're so wasteful. Yi Qingshan nodded.